Welcome in. Thank you for joining us this afternoon here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. It is Monday. It is cold. It is wet. It is rainy. If you're in the mountains, some snow. Just good sleep weather, nap weather. It's one of those mornings and one of those afternoons where you had a hard time just getting up, rolling out of bed, and getting ready for work. You know, that weekend hangover. I understand, but we're here. We have a lot to get to. But before we get to some of the big headlines of the day, we want to take a look at our full forecast. Here's Majestic Storm with a look at our full forecast.
The snow has really just stayed up in the mountains in and around Charlotte. It's been all about the rain and the chilly temperatures. Look at all of our cameras. We're seeing snow in Boone, Beach Mountain. Look at all those skiers and snowboarders. They are braving the cold, loving the snow though. Banner Elk, Blowing Rock, we're seeing that accumulating snowfall up in the mountains. Right now, we mainly have 30s across the board. We're at 39 in Charlotte, little warmer in Shelby, 42 degrees, and right at freezing there in Boone. Visibility has also been something that we've been keeping a close eye on for you today, so be prepared for that if you're traveling or if you live in the mountains. We have slick and icy, snow-covered roads, and that fog is still lingering. Now, this is our hourly forecast specifically for Boone. Notice we could still have that light snowfall that'll be ongoing still for hours, plus those temperatures are cold, actually feeling like you're into the 20s though, once you add in a little bit of that wind. National Weather Service has issued this winter weather advisory for our mountain counties, Ashwaubenon, Avery counties. I'm talking to you. And they've issued this because the snow is out there. It's accumulating, and yes, it will impact some travel. So make sure you're just taking it nice and slow. You guys know the drill. Once we're heading into today, though, this is for Charlotte. Notice it's just kind of a cloudy and cold rest of our day. We do still have a little bit of rain that's lingering, but it's not going to linger much into the afternoon. Perhaps a little bit of mist out there or drizzle, but as far as that widespread rain goes, really this is what we're looking at now. Our impact radar, I did stop our time, always paying close attention to those temperatures. We have 30s and 40s with a little bit of rain right around the Charlotte metro area, but it seems like most of it at this point is staying to the north of us. Let's go ahead and fast forward you into the afternoon. Here's 1 o'clock, still seeing that snow that's falling in the mountains. Dry though in and around Charlotte, heading into the 2-3 o'clock hour. It's kind of just the same setup. So still seeing snowy conditions, cold temperatures for the mountains, but again around the Charlotte metro area. We're really going to start preparing you for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is another WCNC weather impact alert day, and it's not because we're looking at another round of rain or snow, but rather Tuesday morning we will be weather alert because it is going to be dangerously cold. Early in the morning, we're talking about temperatures tomorrow morning that'll actually be into the teens and 20s. That's before you even add in the wind chill factor. Also, we'll be watching for black ice because that moisture on the ground right now, especially up towards the higher elevations, will likely refreeze, and that's going to make for quite the icy morning commute tomorrow. So if you have some place to be, just make sure you're ready for those elements, preparing and allowing for a lot of extra drive time. It's going to be 31 degrees for your high up there in Jefferson, 40 here in Charlotte. Look at those lows tonight. If you have any outdoor pets, specifically a dog or a cat that sleeps outside, make sure they are prepared because temperatures get cold, but once you add in that wind chill value, it's really going to be dangerous for all of us. Our highs tomorrow very similar to today, mainly into the 30s and 40s, but this is why we are weather alert tomorrow. 7 o'clock Tuesday morning, it feels like we're at 18 degrees, feeling like we're at 17 in Monroe, Lincolnton, 16 up in Jefferson. Dangerously cold, especially if you work out in the elements. Make sure you have all your layers ready to go. You don't want a lot of exposed skin when we're dealing with such cold wind chills. It's going to not last too long though. By Wednesday, we'll be back into the 50s, so a nice warm up is ahead, but of course going to take a little while. There's that Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. So right now we're kind of in that calmer time period, but we're getting you ready for Tuesday morning, that brutally cold weather. Temperatures again into the 20s, and then once you factor in those wind chills, I mean tomorrow is going to be that kind of cold where you go outside and it literally hurts your skin because it's going to be so cold.
All right, so that is full forecast. Hopefully you are bundled up. All right, so let's go now to near the D.C. area. So First Lady Melania Trump is partnering with Toys for Tots charity drive. Let's take a listen in to what she is saying right now.
remind us all that American tradition, kindness, and love remain among our most powerful. To the families of military personnel, you are the heart of today's celebration. Your strength in the face of the adversity is inspirational. Some of the children here today have a parent stationed away from home right now. I know this can be difficult. On behalf of our nation, thank you. And thank you to the parents and guardians who are here today. Your support and resilience empower our Marines to serve with honor and distinction. Whether near or far, you illuminate every occasion, enriching everyone's life. This Christmas season, you, your friends, and your families should wish for the ultimate gift, love. After all, love travels further than Santa's sleigh and American ospreys. Thank you, and Merry Christmas, and Happy and Healthy New Year. Thank you.
All right, so that is First Lady Melania Trump there. Just finished speaking at the Toys for Tots Charity Drive at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, there in Virginia. That's in the D.C. area. You see there, just leaving the podium and talking to the young kids there in the crowd there. So again, First Lady Melania Trump just finishing her speech as she holds hands with one of the kids, one of the young kids there. All right, so we are going to take a step aside. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to go to something that's happening live right now. So Sheriff Gary McFadden, Mecklenburg County Sheriff McFadden, is addressing concerns over arenas laws. It's week 2 of the law being enacted. Let's take a listen into what he's saying.
And I believe that is no.
Quick follow-up. So it did happen. Police say it happened on the actual light rail, but I wonder your thoughts, knowing that we had Border Patrol here for a few weeks, just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they claimed that they were going after previous felons. He has convictions in the past. Do you have any thoughts on why he wasn't picked up then?
Well, I think you have to ask Border Patrol, and if you get in touch with them, that will be almost a miracle in talking with them, because we asked them to collaborate with us here. Let me make sure we get a distinction. We have a better communication with ICE than we have with Border Patrol. Border Patrol never came and talked to us, even though they were 500 yards away from here doing an interview with CNN right across the street. We don't know. So what we would have liked to do, and people believe that to make these cities safer, and these are the questions I think you should ask them. You know, from my reading this weekend, a lot of these people being picked up do not have a criminal record. If they want to make Mecklenburg County safer, we have what they call a repository of warrants, and they may show you that today. We have hundreds of warrants. If you want to say, let's take your first 100 most violent criminals that are wanted, and we search for them in a combined effort with DHS and ICE, that would have been a better move. Simply coming to terrorize the city and taking away people that we don't even know who they are. We don't know anything about the numbers, but we always shift the sheriff about the sheriff. Well, I think this is the time to ask ICE, can you provide us who was arrested and provide us if they had a criminal history or if they are targeted. When they say targeted, it is very clever by using, they have target areas. That means Central Avenue and South Boulevard. Let's make no mistake about it. Those are our heavily Hispanic areas. So South Boulevard and Central Avenue, they targeted those areas. Who they took away, we do not know to this day. They did not bring anybody to the Mecklenburg County Detention Center.
Secretary Noem, in her press release, says that this county has a history of not cooperating with ICE. What is your response to that, and will you honor this detainer for Oscar Solorzano?
Okay, let me go with the cooperation first. We cooperate with DHS, we cooperate with any federal law enforcement agency if they want to cooperate with us. North Carolina General Statute, which I love to quote, 162.62 mandates us to cooperate with ICE. ICE is using, or she is using, or someone using what I have classified as a word salad. They will not tell you that I am not following the law. I am not cooperating to what they want us to follow. And as I said about this young man who is here now, under House Bill 318, we're going to follow those guidelines. And those guidelines say whatever they say, and then within that 48 hours, we're going to notify them, and then ICE can do what they want to do. What I suggest them to do, which would be what I would like to see them do, is actually file criminal charges for re-entering after deportation. That would be the greatest part to satisfy me.
Moving forward, could we please keep our questions to House Bill 307?
Sheriff,
Go ahead.
Sheriff, there are people who, after this latest light rail staff and the one before, do want changes and do want to feel safer. If House Bill 307 isn't the solution, and if it's not going to make people feel safer, what kind of policy changes could Raleigh bring that would do that?
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to having I want things to be safer. I want people to be safer. But I think talking together to find out the best solution would be the best thing to do at this time. Simply creating something that has caused controversial issues among law enforcement, you should say, well, Sheriff, we want to talk to you. We want to talk to the largest counties. We want to talk to all sheriffs. I think that is what we're asking to see if what can better fit to make these cities safe. Simply saying we want to make them safer. After 2 weeks here, I don't think anybody felt safe after Border Patrol left. So I think that having these conversations, say, what can we do together, instead of saying, what can you do, Sheriff? I have my ideas, they have their ideas. I think coming together and having a conversation is the best idea, and being collaborative to push out the best policy and the best avenue to combat what we're doing. To throw Chief Patterson, as they say, throw her a bone. Her first day on the job, she called me and said, we want to work together. And she had an assembly of leaders I think this past Thursday. That is what we are asking for, a start. Everybody believes that they have the answer in Raleigh, but who's never been in Charlotte.
Have Destin Hall or Phil Berger ever called you?
Never have called me. Never, and we're looking for that conversation. And the same thing with the FOP. You know, they're saying they want to talk to us. Well, my office has never moved. So we need to have these conversations. The reason I said I want to distinguish the difference between ICE and BP is because when I sent them a letter on October 1st and said, I need this from you, they came and had a meeting on the 17th of October. We came to agreement. This is how you could operate if you choose to within the Mecklenburg County Courthouse grounds or the detention center, and they have been great on going through this protocol as we laid it out. That's all we're asking, to have a conversation.
You've reached out to Phil Berger and Destin Hall?
Absolutely. And I go to Raleigh and stand in the chambers and we can't meet, and stand beside their doors and can't meet.
Can I follow up with just to try and cut through some stuff on the booking versus processing percentages going up since August? Since the mental health aspect of the law hasn't taken effect and won't take effect until next year, and the minutia of essentially what would cause somebody to stay booked as opposed to where they were before, is what's causing the biggest jail influx of people, essentially magistrates, afraid of releasing the wrong people? Can someone just tell me if that's the case or not?
I don't think that we can, well, I'm going to say, I don't think we can just put it on the mat, and we're not going to just put it on the mat. It's a system. It's a system. It's a system that they are here. We have people in crisis. We don't understand that. We have people been waiting to go to trial for a number of reasons. Mental health is a part of it. Poverty is a part of it. People don't have the resources to actually bond their loved ones out, and places don't have to go. People are released from people are released from prison every week and brought to Mecklenburg County. A couple of days ago, I met a gentleman on the sidewalk, and he needed a place to go. Being out of prison after 1 year, we sent him to our resource center that give him all the things that we could possibly give, but he is still homeless inside of Mecklenburg County. Is he going to commit a crime? The likelihood, yes. Why? Poverty, food, nutrition, and housing. So he may do things just to feel comfortable, and he will come inside our detention center, and then again, it becomes a poverty issue where nobody can bond him out, and he remains here. Those are the things that that data may not show all the time.
You talked about the 97, with, I don't know if that number was right, the stackable bunks, stackable beds. How does that work? You maybe can make more beds, but you can't necessarily make more space. So how does that look in the population?
Okay, not quite have your question.
So you said that there's people on stackable beds or
Yes.
bunks, like
Yes.
almost 100, right? Something like that.
Right, 97.
Yes.
And so you can make more beds, but you can't necessarily make more space. So what kind of problems does that present, having so many people on these stackable beds?
Well, when you have that many people on the stackable bed, it affects morale, of course.
Can you come up there, please?
It affects the morale, it causes tension, but it's workable. The building is a building. You can't make the building bigger, but you can always put stacker bunks to give people more space. One of the other things is that we didn't talk about was, when we talk about why is the population increasing, when people get sentenced, they don't always leave the detention center, right? Because the Department of Bureau of Prisons and stuff is overcrowded. So right now we have, I think, 37 people on the backlog just to go back to prison that are already been sentenced, right? We also receive people from the prisons here for writs, right? So we have people coming here and we have people that should leave. If you take last week, for instance, 3 of the most dangerous people in Mecklenburg County got sentenced to prison a week before last, but because the prisons were overcrowded, we couldn't even send them out. So it's a lot of things that affect the amount of people that are here at the detention center. It's not just the new arrestees, but it's people that are supposed to go to prison, people that come back for writs. There's a lot of things that go into that.
Major, for the arrest processing, for people who may have never even stepped foot in this building, can you just give us an example of, on average, how much longer it is taking to process someone now that the law has taken effect versus before? I know there's more paperwork, there's more stuff and history to go through for the magistrate, but is it 30 more minutes? Is it an hour more?
We're talking about a week's time. I honestly haven't looked at the numbers to see what that's affected. Again, like I said, with the weather, we've had a couple of days where we've been entirely slow because of the rain and the cold. And a lot of people just don't get out and they don't get arrested. That's something that we'll have to look at over time. From what I've seen, the magistrates are doing their best to get people through at this point in time. We really won't know that until we really get hit on one of those days where, a few of those days where it just keeps coming and it happens. So.
Sheriff, could you speak a little bit about, I'm just curious if you would be in favor of this bill if it did come with the funding that you are speaking of, or are you more concerned with the actual policy of it?
I would be more in favor of a bill if I'm at the table to hear what the sheriff has the input and what my staff will face. I would be more in favor of that. Instead of baking a cake and then want to serve it to us, I would be in favor of a bill if I'm at the table and I'm going to say, this could happen, that could happen, have you considered this and have you considered that? That is what I want.
Sheriff, have you had staff tell you that because of this going into effect that maybe they no longer see themselves wanting to be in law enforcement?
No, I've had concern from the magistrates because when we place whatever content we out into the media, it brings fear. And so we're no matter who we are as professionals, we are still human. And we have families, and we go to the grocery store, and we go to the mall, and we go to have dinner. And so fear is real, and I think everybody should know that now after what happened a couple of weeks ago. And so, no, I haven't had a staff member to say, I'm not doing this. Like I said before, we kind of dealt with a lot of this when I got here about mental health. It's just that people are going to stay longer. And when people stay longer, they become agitated. And when they become agitated, their families become agitated. And then they call us with more demands. And then that call has to be received by one of my staff in the middle of another crisis. And so you have to think about this. This is a facility that have 1,600 people who have been in a crisis. And they're probably going to remain in that crisis because they are here. And their family into a crisis. Holidays bring crisis also. But I haven't had one staff member said, I'm going to leave because of that. And I hope that they won't. And I can just hope that they won't.
Inside of a pod, how many deputies are there at any given time?
There's one person as a supervisor of anywhere from 10 to 50 people. And I'll tell you, I have seen a couple of staff members are amazing. Well, a lot of my staff is amazing, but when you walk into a pod of 54 men, and there's a female sitting behind that desk comfortably because she's running her pod well, that gives me great joy. That's a person I want to train the other people to come in. And I think that we have to look at this from the perspective of, as you say, as my staff. How many people that my staff is going to be working with on one person and have to take care of 50 people? That is a task. But they do a great job. And I always commend these young ladies because when I walk in a pod and they are, as we say, they are running their pod, that gives me great comfort. And those people that I hope will be the trainers of the new people to come in and help us be more staff than we are now. Thank you.
So does the jail have like a firm max capacity, and then are you concerned, I know we're only a weekend, but are you concerned that as this law stays in effect, that will
I'm concerned every day.
Put over the top?
I wish I didn't have but 100 people here. Anything, you think about it, anything is a crisis here. I don't want to say, well, when we get 1,600, I'm going to panic. I panic every day when the numbers go up to 5 because that's somebody else that we have to deal with. There's no magic number. And when we talk about the stack of bunks, you will hear people say they're sleeping on the floor. They're not sleeping on the floor. And then we have to talk about classification, which we didn't touch on. Everybody just doesn't come in, and just because we got a bed open over here, we can send that person to that bed. No, it is called classifications. So because we can't put co-defendants together, or we can't put rivalry gangs together. So all of that, you have to look at it as classification. We have to be careful of who we put together. Believe it or not, sometimes we have to say, if you're from the west side, you can't put the east side together. Why? Because they could be beefing. High schools beef. And so we have to be very careful, and that becomes what we call classification, and that's why it takes a while before these people are moved to their pod areas, the selected pod areas.
We can take 2 more questions.
So with these, lawmakers put this bill forward saying the stricter, pretrial release will kind of maybe stop the revolving door of crime. Like, do you think that is what effect it will be, or what other consequences maybe do they not consider when they?
I don't think anybody has a solution to stop the revolving door of crime. We can say that candidly. The revolving door last night, I think that we received 57 people yesterday, and we released 33. So that is still a revolving door. It is always going to be a revolving door of crime. People are going to come. I have people that I now see, sadly, I talked to a family this weekend with a concern about a loved one here, and I asked some questions about this young man, and unfortunately, I thought it was somebody that I coached in Little League football, but it wasn't. It's actually his son. And so that's a revolving door for me. Now I'm seeing the second generation come. And so then who takes on that mission? The community should take on some of that mission to help decrease who comes inside our detention center. What does that look like? And so when we're talking about when lawmakers make these laws, the only thing that we are asking for to allow us to be heard at the table, whether you agree with it or not, at least you heard it, at least you consider it, and if you take it into account, then let's move forward.
I'll ask one more question if nobody else has it. You kind of mentioned a little bit of, I'm wondering, with these stricter release laws, like with the secured bonds, unsecured, like, do you think it will really target kind of those repeat offenders, or you kind of mentioned kind of in passing, like, get people that are poor? Like, who do you think?
I think that it will significantly harm the people who are less fortunate because of funding, fine and fees, because we don't even think about when a person is here, they still have to pay a lawyer. And they still have to go to court. And you take, when a parent comes to court, he or she's gonna lose time from work. If you are not familiar with our commissary, mothers come here and go to a machine and daily put what they call money on their books. So if a family may put $200 a week because their loved one said, I need this or I need that. And so all of that creates a deeper pocket for poverty. And then when you're talking about poverty, they still have to go to court. They still have to pay a lawyer and all of these fundings. And so this is the revolving door that nobody knows how to fix. So funding, imagine fine and fees. And if you just heard, we just had, the state doesn't have the ability to accept these people who have been convicted for crimes often. It is a waiting list. It's a 30 waiting list. And so then the big story was these 2 young men are convicted of a crime. They are still here. How much attention is that inside a detention center? How much attention is that? And you don't think my staff says, well, these 2 people have just killed someone. We have those people upstairs. Even though they have not been convicted, they are charged with it. All of that goes into our daily functions as a sheriff's office. Thank you.
This concludes our press conference. Our detention staff will escort you all for the tour. Thank you so much.
All right, so that is Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden holding a press conference this afternoon to address concerns surrounding Arenas Law, also commenting on the jail and overall crime in Charlotte, and also talking about the relationship between lawmakers in Raleigh and officials here in Mecklenburg County. So a lot to sort of that he got into in that press conference. That was about an hour long. All right. So, and also I want to point out, if you missed that press conference, you can check out the entire press conference here on WCNC Plus, also on our digital platforms. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to take you now to Tampa, Florida, where Secretary Kristi Noem held a press conference earlier highlighting the TSA. She held that press conference with TSA agents and employees behind her. Again, this is in Tampa, Florida from just moments ago. Let's take a listen to it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kirk Skinner. I'm the Federal Security Director for Greater Tampa Bay. I have the distinct privilege of introducing the former governor of South Dakota and the DHS Secretary.
Thank you, Kirk. I appreciate it. And Kirk is in a leadership position here as FSD at the Tampa Airport, and we so appreciate all that he does every day to get up and keep people safe here. Today we have an exciting announcement. As you know, TSA is tasked with keeping people safe while they travel on our airlines, and they go through our airport security systems and do a phenomenal job year-round, day after day. TSA is under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security, and over a month ago we had a Democrat shutdown in Washington, D.C. that resulted in all of these individuals behind me and many, many more across the country not receiving their paychecks. The Democrat shutdown was devastating to them financially, to their families, to taking care of those that they love and putting food on the table and roof over their head each and every day. It negatively impacted the lives of millions of Americans, including the hardworking employees at the Transportation Security Administration. So today, we get the opportunity to do something different. Now that the government is open and operating, these individuals behind us, they continue to serve regardless of their situation and to keep people safe even when they weren't getting paid and the government was shut down. Despite those shameful partisan games, our TSA employees showed up every single day and went above and beyond to serve the American people. Now, we've made some exciting announcements at TSA recently. You've seen me in the last few weeks announce a $1 billion investment into new technology that will be deployed across the country at our security checkpoints. deployed across the country at our security checkpoints to increase not just security systems for individuals that use our airlines, but also will make their jobs easier and more efficient. And they'll be able to focus on their customers, those that travel, but also know that the technology that they're using is streamlining the process to help them get people through those checkpoints even faster. We also have announced that we are implementing Real ID, and they've been doing phenomenal work making sure that people who travel have the right information, that they have the correct ID, and so far we have 94% compliance with Real ID across our airport systems. Real ID was passed in law over 20 years ago, and no administration had implemented and put it in place, and it's incredibly important that we know that people are traveling on our airlines should be there, that they pass security checkpoints, that we know who they are, and that they're using an ID that is verifiable and that it is compliant with the law. So that implementation has been put in place. We're grateful to see people across the country and around the world using Real IDs, but we're also making sure that it's facilitated and that people understand that we will be following the law. And now these individuals behind me, I want to talk a little bit about them because they're all being recognized for exemplary service during difficult times, but also on every single day when they show up for their jobs. I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud of everyone in leadership who inspired them to continue to do their jobs and to do them well. Because of that hard work, I'm here to present each of them that are behind me, and many, many more will also receive the $10,000 bonus checks for doing their jobs and doing it as an example to their fellow employees and colleagues. Some of them will use the dollars to pay off mortgages. Some of them will use it to pay off debts. Many of them maybe will buy an extra Christmas present for a loved one in their life, but they probably will use them for their priorities to make sure they're taking care of their families and their friends. Their stories inspire me every day. That's why we have these press conferences, is so that the American people can truly understand the people that serve at TSA. And I want to talk a little bit about a couple of them before I turn it over to your questions. First, TSO Officer Felice. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. Yes. During the Democrat shutdown, Felice provided care for her disabled husband, continued to take care of her household bills and priorities. And I wanted to open it up to her to maybe share a few thoughts with you all about why she serves at TSA, why she does her job, and maybe what this $10,000 bonus payment will mean to her after this government shutdown. Would you mind coming up and sharing just a little?
Yes, ma'am. I joined TSA 6 years ago, and I love my job. I love working with everyone you see here on this stage. The leadership we have is excellent. They looked out for us. This airport looked out for us. Thank you, Tampa. It's just been phenomenal. They fed us. Leadership put together all kinds of things for us. Gas. Also, I participate in the commute program with Enterprise that's associated with TSA. So it's just been phenomenal. And thank you so much for coming here and recognizing all of us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
you
so much. Here, let me give that to you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for all that you
Thank
do.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I told her she didn't have to go first, and then I made her go first. So you did a great job, always surprising people. Thank you for that. Next, we have TSO Waleed, and he, despite facing his own financial challenges during the government shutdown, he expressed to his colleagues every day the importance of their work. He overcame temporary hardship and shutdown to help safeguard our country against terrorism and other threats that we have, and his unwavering dedication was a testimony to so many people who worked for him. He was recommended as someone to talk about at this press conference because he's so highly deserving of the recognition of today and how so many of his colleagues look up to him and want to repeat and continue to focus on being more like him and how they serve, they work hard, and the attitude that they have to continue to serve the public. So Waleed, would you come up and share a few words?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You bet.
Good morning, everyone. Joined TSA about 14 years ago. The 9/11 attacks is what brought me here. I wanted to be a part of the dedicated people that want to defend this homeland, and I'm very proud to serve, and I'll continue to serve. The shutdown was difficult. Being a supervisor, a leader, I had to find the balance between the hardship I have at home and at work. On a daily basis, every day of the government, during the government shutdown, I had to walk the floor and talk to my officers to bring the morale up, to make sure they're okay. It was a lot of support, but not enough support for everybody. And I convinced them that there is help out there, and they have to engage with us, with the senior leadership, to find ways to help them out, and it worked out pretty good. Tampa Airport, Tampa Bay area, thank you everyone for being out there for us. We really appreciate it. The traveling public as well, a lot of support, a lot of encouragement. People are very, very kind, and it's all appreciated.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Waleed.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Waleed. We appreciate that and appreciate all of your leadership at TSA as well. Next, I want to talk a little bit about Abby. Abby Ingley went through the government shutdown facing some stress, some uncertainty, financial hardships. She postponed her personal vacation that she had planned for a long time and canceled leave so that she could stay here and not just cover her shifts, but cover shifts for other individuals that were in different situations that maybe had to miss because of childcare or because of other issues that they had at home. On duty, TSO Ingley projected a steady and a calm demeanor, and she proactively checked in on her fellow officers. She encouraged all of her teammates to use the available resources that were available to them. And I do want to take this opportunity not just to thank other individuals at TSA for supporting each other, but to thank Tampa Airport here for supporting everyone during that government shutdown and the uncertainty that it created, but also the private companies that stepped up and helped supported these individuals with gift cards or financial support to meet their needs during that difficult time. We appreciate Ashley as she volunteered for additional assignments, and she strengthened our team readiness by assisting with assessments and different training that was available. So Ashley, I'd like to ask you if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
Hello, everyone.
Or Abby, I guess I said it wrong, didn't it? I'm sorry.
I'm Abby. Been with TSA for 4 years. I recently transferred down to TPA a year ago. Since then, I've been extremely grateful for this community that I'm in. Very thankful for the leadership that we have here. Thankful for my coworkers who showed up every day, helped out. We did a great job during the shutdown. It wasn't easy for any of us. I definitely took the opportunity to use some resources that we had locally here. We went to Feeding Tampa Bay. They had an awesome food bank that each of us could go to at least once a week. And we also had TECO provide us up to a $500 grant to provide for our electricity bill. So I'm very grateful that we had that opportunity, and thank you, Secretary Noem, for letting us talk.
Absolutely. Thank you, Abby. Appreciate it. So I had her name wrong in my notes. Her name is Abby Ingley. So thank you for that, and thank you for your leadership. We appreciate all that you've done. And Keishlina Madrid Delini Medina closed on her new home on August 30th. She got engaged on September 27th, just about a month later, just days before the shutdown impacted her dramatically financially and her family. She was all set to start on a new chapter in her life, but had to postpone purchasing furniture for her new home and celebrating her engagement. Despite all of that, she continued to show up for work. She kept positivity and professionalism in her demeanor and her attitude, and she helped collect and do assessments and engagements to ensure that her fellow officers remained focused on threat detection during this significant time. And so I would like to recognize her as well to come up and to say a few words.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Keishlina Madrid. I'd like to thank Kristi Noem for this opportunity. I've been with TSA for 3 years now. And I would like to thank all our managers, all our staff for providing us a lot of help. There were a lot of resources. Definitely everyone kept asking questions every single day, asking if I was okay. There was a lot of resources, like Abby said. Feeding Tampa Bay was very helpful. There was a lot of raffles going around with gift cards for gas. Gas trucks was also available for us. So thank you guys for all the support. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Kayshliana. Thank you for telling your story and for putting an example forward that everybody could follow and appreciate and want to be like. I'm incredibly grateful for all of the individuals that are behind me, for their service, for the thousands of others that are being recognized for their exemplary work, and for all the other individuals that continue during difficult times to show up for work, to do their security operations, and to keep Americans safe. So with that, I'm going to hand out the checks to the individuals behind me, and then we will take some of your questions. So Robert, where's Robert? I'll come to you. Ricky. I'll come to you. Thank you. Absolutely, Ryan. Dennis? No? Congratulations. Louis? Sorry. And Heather. Yes, I'm getting big. Right. Thank you, Louis. Appreciate Freddie? Yes, ma'am. All right. Good. Steven?
Thank you.
Cecily?
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. Stephen? Absolutely. Joanna? Yes. Thank you. And Marie? Yep. Congratulations. Thank you for all your service. Brittany? Thank you. Appreciate it. Leslie? Yeah. No? Sorry. Stephanie's here? Yeah. Thank you. Carl?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Kirk, I want to thank you for all your leadership here, and I want to thank everybody for all the work that you do to keep Americans safe and following and fulfilling the mission of TSA, and all the work that you do each and every day. We've recently experienced our busiest travel day in history, with over 3 million passengers securely screened and checked over the Thanksgiving holiday, and we're so grateful that even though more and more people travel on our airlines and through our airports, that we continue to keep them safe and fulfill our mission. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Secretary, what is your reaction to the lawsuit that was just filed against ICE and the federal government for urging the App Store to remove the alleged ICE tracking apps? Is that appropriate for the government to urge Apple to take those apps out of the store?
Absolutely. I think the violence against our ICE officers and our law enforcement is completely unacceptable, and anything that would dox them and release their whereabouts when they're out doing law enforcement operations against violent criminals is wrong and needs to be stopped. Those apps endanger their lives, and remember that most of these law enforcement officers live in those communities. They're out there on the streets in neighborhoods where they live, where their children go to school. They care about their communities, and they want to get dangerous criminals off of their streets. So we're doing targeted arrests across the country to make sure that those who would violate Americans and citizens that live in these communities will be removed, they'll be brought to justice, and then they'll be deported.
Are all TSA officers here at EPA receiving one of these checks today, or is it just some?
The TSA officers that are being recognized with $10,000 bonus checks are being recognized for exemplary service. So they're nominated from their leadership teams that goes up through the supervisors at TSA and then recommended for those bonus checks. So it's not just based on one factor or another. It's for individuals who continued to show up, fulfilled their shifts, but also did other things to help through the shutdown that helped the entire team to be successful.
But not all of the officers are receiving.
Not every single officer that works at this airport is receiving one, only those that have been nominated for exemplary service by supervisors and leadership.
How many are those? How many will be receiving?
Well, there's 16 up here on stage today. There's many more, and there's some that will continue to be recognized. So as we continue to go through the next month or two, we'll continue to recognize more and more individuals for all that they did. The nominations for these bonus checks hasn't stopped. So there may be more that get recommended, and we'll continue to do what we can to thank them for their service, but let them know that the work that they do matters.
So as for today, it's everyone on stage.
Well, actually, what they've got in their envelopes is a piece of paper that says the direct deposit will be in your account. Does that sound good? All right, that's how our accounting system works. And so they've got a piece of paper that says that direct deposit will be coming into their account on their next pay period. And there may be other officers that will receive that good news too.
Some unions have expressed concerns that these bonuses only rewarding a small subset of workers. What's your response?
I would say those individuals sound like the Grinch. They should be happy when other people get rewarded for doing good work. You know, in this country, we should be grateful and cheer on other individuals around us that we can point to that work every single day to keep us safe.
Secretary, for property owners, what information should landlords or apartment managers be expected to provide to ICE agents?
I don't know what they would be expected to provide to ICE agents. I think that they should comply with all federal laws that have always been followed in the operations that are being conducted by ICE agents or CBP officers or any federal officer or local law enforcement that's out there trying to keep them safe. I want to remind everybody, any operation that we're doing out on our streets and in our communities every day is done with the same protocols and processes that every law enforcement investigation has ever been done under. We still follow all of the same protocols and processes, and we make sure that every law is enforced.
Now, there have been reports that the president is possibly considering replacing you. Have you got any indication of that, and what's your response?
No, I don't have any indication of that. The president is fantastic. I'm very proud every single day to be able to work for him.
Do you expect to be serving all 4 years of this administration?
I will serve at the president's pleasure.
All right, so that is Secretary Kristi Noem from earlier answering questions from reporters there after giving those bonuses to TSA agents and employees. All right, so we want to go to something that's happening live. This is in the Phoenix area. We are hearing from ICE officials and also Brad Miller, local county attorney there in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Let's take a listen to that.
Direct partnership to protect Pinal County. Evil exists in this world, and it manifests itself through human trafficking, drug trafficking, domestic violence, and crimes against children. This office will do everything in its power to protect this community from these predators. Recently, my office indicted an illegal immigrant named Ishmael Ortega Hernandez for the murder of his girlfriend in front of her 2 children. He sought refuge in a sanctuary city because politicians like Representatives Grijalva and Ansari have made people believe that they are safe in those cities. I'm here to let you know that they are not. There are no sanctuary cities in Arizona. With this partnership, if you commit a crime in Pinal County, we will hunt you down no matter where you go and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Human smuggling is an evil, and we will not only prosecute those who participate in such activities, but my office is also planning to pursue legislation to call it what it is. It's modern-day slavery. Working with ICE to end these crimes is the goal. But there are those out there, including those in power, who seek to stop the good work that our law enforcement officers are doing. There are some Arizona politicians willing to lie to you in order to get additional social media attention, as we saw this past week with Representative Grijalva. Now, she was caught in a lie. She had her own Jussie Smollett moment. She had to manufacture outrage where none exists, because they know, and she knows, that Arizonans are not on her side. It is unfortunate that these politicians have chosen to create dangerous situations for our law enforcement officers, to boost their own profiles, and unfortunately, mainly to raise campaign dollars. To be clear, being in the country illegally is a crime and has been the state of the law for over 100 years. We in Pinal County back the blue, and assaulting an officer here will land you in jail or in prison where you belong. There is no special treatment for elected officials. Here the law will be applied equally and fairly. To say it again, assaulting a police officer is a crime, and the law will be enforced in Pinal County, and you will be arrested. Now I want to close with this. Keeping our communities safe has to include every resource at our disposal, and we plan to use every single one available. This strategic partnership with ICE is a force multiplier for my office, and we look forward to getting more criminals off the street to keep our community safe. Thank you very much, and I invite any questions. Yes?
Kind of layout in practice how this is going to work?
Yeah, so basically what the program is called the 287G. There's two types of programs. One is the jail program and one is an enforcement program. I know our Pinal County Sheriff's Office and many of the sheriff's offices and agencies throughout Arizona participate in the jail program. They're not involved in the enforcement program. But my office has signed on to that enforcement program because it gives us some additional resources. So if for some reason we have somebody in our custody, we participate in a task force, and somebody's in the country illegally, we can now get access to the databases and resources that we need to not only check their status and potentially give them over to ICE to deport them, but allows my office to potentially prosecute those individuals for human smuggling. Any other questions? I know I saw one over here. Yes, sir.
These vehicles we see here, are these now part of Pinal County for your sheriff's use?
No, but we will be receiving additional resources from ICE in order to get vehicles. These are ICE vehicles of the gentlemen that are to my left and to my right. Yep. Yes, sir.
Thank you. What do you say to those who say local and state law enforcement kind of is infringing on federal law enforcement here with this step? How do you respond to that?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's disappointing that certain agencies and certain people are looking down on enforcing immigration law. The way I look at it is immigration law is tied up, and as I mentioned in my speech, you see a lot of other crimes spring from immigration-related crimes, including human smuggling, which again I call modern-day slavery, drug trafficking, human trafficking, crimes against children, and domestic violence. It seems to be the precursor to a lot of these other crimes. Just the way marijuana has become a precursor to fentanyl use, cocaine, and methamphetamines. So I think it's unfortunate that people want to say that we should enforce some crimes and not enforce others. The way I look at it is they're all tied together. And so my office plans on enforcing both. We plan on getting the additional resources from the federal government to enforce both, and that's going to be our intention. Because our ultimate goal, I think, is still the same, and that's to protect our communities. And by enforcing all of the law, I think we better protect our community. What other questions? Yes, sir.
So talking about traffic stops on I-10
Yep.
by the Pinal County Sheriff's Office.
Yep.
Sometimes these result in handoffs of detained.
They do.
Do you know at this point how many of those stops have resulted in handoffs?
I can't name the exact numbers, but I know the last operation by the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, I believe, resulted in well over 100 different stops. I don't know how many of those individuals were handed over to ICE, but I can get you that information at a later point. But also to emphasize, because we've signed onto this agreement and are now actively working with ICE, there will be many more of those, and we intend to continue those. But we will also put out the statistics about what we find and who we find. So you'll be getting more information from my office soon.
And how confident are you that these kind of freeway stops are legal?
Well, we know 100% that they're legal because we follow through our process. When we receive a case from a sheriff's office or from any of our agencies, we don't just immediately charge all of those cases. That's why we have a backstop. We have a couple of those. My office looks at those, and we have a very high and exacting standard about what cases we actually charge. And that standard is the reasonable likelihood of conviction. We don't just look at the probable cause standard, which is your basic standard to conduct a vehicle stop.
All right, so though that is ICE officials holding a press conference announcing a new initiative there in the Phoenix, Arizona area, also talking about recent arrests. All right, let's take a step aside from that. We're going to come back here at home, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So earlier we showed you a press conference with Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden addressing concerns over Arenas Law. This is week 2 of Arenas Law being enacted. There at that press conference, Autumn Bracey, who joins us live here on Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. So Autumn, you were there at that press conference. Catch us up. What did you hear? What were some of your takeaways from that press conference?
Hello, Nick. Well, starting out, Sheriff McFadden really highlighted that Irina Zarutska's death on the stabbing on the light rail, obviously it was a huge tragedy, but he does say that he believes all of this was heightened because this particular issue was caught on video. One thing he did want to enforce to everyone or kind of relay to everyone was that, this is an issue, ongoing crime that's really happening across the country. But, you just mentioned House Bill 307. It's been in effect. This is week 2. He says, Sheriff McFadden, that some of the biggest issues with this is the lack of resources and funding that has come to the sheriff's office. He says that, a lot of times when it comes to making legislation in Raleigh, they don't necessarily consult the people that it's going to be affecting, which would mean the detention center, the sheriff's office. He says that I guess one of the challenges when it comes to lawmakers in Raleigh is that lack of communication that he's hoping that can improve in time. With this particular issue, when we talk about some of the changes in effect, he says that with more people are expected to be in these detention centers. So for them, that means more medical care, more food, more laundry. There's a variety of resources that are going to be needed, but without the funding to go alongside with it. We know staffing continues to be an issue for, departments really all across. Sheriff McFadden was sharing. And so he says it's very competitive. And so something like this doesn't help with the increase of inmates. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, they were able to share some data with us to kind of highlight some of the increases they've been seeing, even though it has not been a very lengthy period of time since this law has been in effect. November of last year, the Sheriff's Office booked about 12,097 people, and this year that number has risen to 1,571. So that's kind of just showing you, I guess, some of the numbers as far as the people that have been affected. We know with this particular issue with Irina Zarutska being stabbed on the light rail, behavioral health, mental health is top of mind for a lot of people. Could this have been detected? We know that in Charlotte, within the Charlotte Sheriff's Office, they do have the RISE program. It's been in effect for a couple years. The Sheriff's Office assists 36 other Sheriff's Office across the state to kind of help improve mental health within the state. So that's just kind of talking about ways that they're working to combat some of the ongoing issues that are causing violence in the streets. But again, it boils back to resources and funding needed to help improve those numbers in the future. So tonight at 4 and 5, we'll have more information and be breaking down that news conference more in depth for you all.
Yeah, as Autumn mentioned, you just mentioned there, Autumn, he hit on a lot of things. A lot of that centered around resources, a lot of that centered around communication between the Sheriff's Office and the lawmakers in Raleigh. Autumn, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us here. Again, as she mentioned, catch her at 4 and 5 this evening. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to take you back now to Arizona, where we are hearing from ICE officials there. That is in Pinal County. That's in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Let's take a listen in.
With 2 illegal immigrants in the back of his vehicle and ran into a palm tree, creating extremely dangerous situations, not only for the people of our community, but for those undocumented immigrants and, of course, himself. And so we're seeing a lot of this, and we're seeing a lot of crime spring from the immigration issue. And so the way I look at it is we need to go attack the source, not just the symptoms. And we believe the source is related to these issues regarding immigration. Yes?
So the sheriff's office has been a part of the program for
The sheriff's office has been part of the 287G jail program for a number of years, correct?
now that you're signing on in a different way.
Correct.
How exactly are you going to be working with the sheriff's office? Given that you're all in the program together, how does that work?
So the sheriff has their own 287G agreement. That's their jail agreement. And if a person is undocumented, has committed felony offenses, then those people are handed over to ICE. That's a separate program. The program that my office is now a part of will be that the enforcement program, that task force. So if there is a task force related to finding people who have committed crimes against children, violent crimes, drug trafficking, then members of my office and my investigators will be participating in that program. That's the difference. Yes.
Can you go into a little bit about the training that these officers go through?
Yeah, so there's first of all of my investigators are fully post-certified. Most of them are retired, so they have 20 plus years of experience in law enforcement. But regarding the agreement with ICE, it's a 40-hour program that they go through to understand immigration law. But we want to have more exacting standards because I believe that the best way to learn is to actually do. And so we're having my investigators go do ride-alongs with our ICE partners so that they can learn and understand immigration law, to me, at a much deeper level, more than just something you would see online. Yes?
If the county sheriff's office is already doing this, what's the advantage to having your investigators, and how many investigators are there that will be trained up on this, and what's the advantage of participating?
Yeah, we have 10 investigators, and the advantage is the enforcement piece, is that we can go out into the community and understand exactly what's happening in the community. We can actually participate in some of these task forces and provide resources of my office. As I mentioned, the investigators in my office are extremely experienced. They understand our local community. Oftentimes, while we love our ICE partners, some of them come from out of state and are not necessarily connected with our community. We and my investigators have been part of this community for multiple decades, so they understand where some of those hot spots are. They understand some of the nuances of Pinal County.
And will they only be using those the skills and the partnership during task force, or if they're in the course of an investigation and they have reasonable suspicion, will they also be enforcing that just during the normal course of their previous duties?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, but the main focus will be on the task forces.
Do you see that having any impact as far as trust and people being able to wanting to talk to your investigators?
I don't.
Why not?
Because we've heard from a lot of people of our community that they're happy to have ICE agents in our community to try to get rid of some of the criminal element in our community. They believe that this has been a blight in Arizona for a number of years, and it's about time we get rid of it. Yes.
We hear from law enforcement agencies all the time about how underfunded you are, saying you don't have enough resources
Correct.
to be able to address even just the crimes that you're being brought to you, much less ones that aren't even reported.
Yep.
I mean, obviously you'll be getting resources for this and you will have more people coming in, but will this not take away some of the attention, even just like in terms of the amount of time that you're talking about dealing with some of these issues, taking away from more local issues that might be undercovered?
No, and I think it's just like any new administration or any administration generally, you have different focuses. And our focus is on protecting our community. And so that's our intention, is to go after those violent offenders, and that's where our focus is going to be. And part of this ICE agreement is to do that. So we don't believe it will take away our focus at all. Yes?
You mentioned someone that you arrested recently who was hiding in a sanctuary city.
Yes.
What sanctuary city was that?
Denver.
You arrested him here?
No, we arrested him in Denver. Yep. He committed the murder here, and he's up on first-degree murder charges here. Yes. And if you want more information on that, we can give it to you. Yes? No, they can't. Yep.
Is there any concern with the Hispanic community that they might be calling?
I missed that.
Is there any concern, or that this may impact like the Hispanic community as far as like calling 911, for help, anything like that?
No. We've had many members of the Hispanic community, and I think people think that it's just the Hispanic community affected. It's not. We see people from all over the world here in Pinal County that are here illegally. So it's not just the Hispanic community, but I will say we have a lot of support from all our communities here in Pinal County for this type of program. Yes?
I just want to clarify, so your investigators in your office will be able to now make arrests of these illegal or undocumented?
Correct. Yes. Anything else? Yeah.
We've seen many examples of ICE, DHS agents detaining people who are not here do not have a history of violent crimes, and in many cases are even here legally, have a green card, have no reason to be detained at all. How can you promise that's not going to happen in this community to members of your own?
Because with a task force model, it's not something that we go out there and willy-nilly arrest folks. We have very targeted folks and individuals that we're going after, people who are committing and have committed heinous crimes in our community. That's going to be the focus of our office. And that's how we're going to ensure that something like that doesn't occur. Anything else? All right. Thank you all very much.
All right, so that is a press conference with senior ICE officials there in the Phoenix, Arizona area. We want to head now to Minneapolis, Minnesota, or in the Minneapolis area, rather. A news conference is happening to respond to a fire at the Prior Lake Mosque there. Let's take a listen in.
But a place where worshipers are here frequently, but also this parking lot is the site of an annual gathering between the mosque, invites all of the first responders from the community, 8 surrounding communities, and city leaders to this very parking lot to recognize the importance of community. And so we stand with community, and our heart is broken. I'd like to also at this time thank a number of jurisdictions that assisted us last evening. As you know, the fire was first called in shortly after 2 a.m. this morning. Prior Lake Fire was here shortly thereafter, but then had respondents from the Shakopee, Manitowoc, Sioux community, City of Lakeville, City of Savage, City of Shakopee, City of Jordan, all responded to offer aid to not only our firefighters, but here to the mosque. And for that, I'm very grateful. So again, as we await what will be a thorough investigation by ATF and our state fire marshal to further understand what were the issues that brought this to be. I'll set, of course, any of those conversations and pieces aside to focus on the fact we can be thankful for there were no injuries yesterday, either anyone within the mosque and or to our brave firefighters who were out here at, I think it was 9 degrees shortly after 2:15 a.m. this morning. Thank you.
Now we'll invite Senator Lindsey Port and if you're elected.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Senator Lindsey Port, Lindsey Port. I represent District 55, which is Burnsville and Savage. Obviously, this is a terrible reason for us to come together and want to send my deepest condolences and support to the community here. When I heard the news, really all I could think about was the 200 students who have nowhere to go to school today, whose just normal everyday activity of children going to school is now turned into a really devastating loss for the whole community. I want to encourage our communities, as we do a really good job of here in the South Metro, to come together and support the residents and our Muslim brothers and sisters here at this mosque with financial support, with emotional and spiritual support. This is a devastating loss, and no matter the reason, there is going to be required community rebuilding. I hope that we can come together in this moment to support our Muslim brothers and sisters as we find out more about this, but as we really dig into the support that will be needed over these next days, weeks, and months to rebuild.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Brad Tabke. I'm state representative for Shakopee, House District 54A, TABKE. I also want to echo the extreme support and how great it has been to have all of our communities coming together to support. With everything that's going on in the world today, this is really important that we all recognize the fact that we're here together and that we all support our Muslim community and making sure that we are looking out for each other as we go through these hard times together. And so I want to echo as well the support to make sure that we are all continuing that financial support, continuing to make sure that we are taking care of one another as we go through all of this together. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll continue from there.
That will conclude our. You want to see?
I'm Imam Hassan Jama, Hassan, last name Jama. I want to stand with Prior Lake Mosque, Al Hikmah Academy, and this community. I know them. They serve children, families. I came here. I don't live far from here. I know them also. I serve a mosque in Minneapolis, Al Hikmah Islamic Center in Minneapolis. As we don't know the motive, I don't want to jump to the conclusion, but we have been exhausted. The rhetoric, actually now it's a policy, came from White House. So we don't know. I don't want to indicate anything, but all mosques in Minnesota, we are alert and we are expecting anything. Since the policymaker in this country attack and single out one community in Minnesota, I want to ask all Minnesotans, our neighbors, our colleagues, to stand with us and to support us. Thank you.
That will conclude the press conference. If you have any questions that we could answer.
Yeah, I mean, I know you don't want to speculate at this point, and it's very early on, but is there any indication that this fire was suspicious or may have been deliberate?
Unfortunately, we're going to let the law enforcement give us that. We have not been able to have any access to the building, as you can imagine, and so I want to thank, speaking to that, I want to thank really the response that the mayor talked about, not only the fire department, but we did have conversation with state leaders, and I know the state is supporting significantly to immediately respond, and also other law enforcement that are joining the effort. So it's too early to really speculate today. We'll wait on that, unfortunately. I think we all understand the environment that we're living in. We're not immune to that, but this moment we wanted to share as a community what this building means to us, who's really impacted, the incredible children, the community. And this is one of those mosques that I think the mayor talked about as well, but others, that is fully invested. And it's also in the heart of a neighborhood. I know many of these neighbors have reached out, and some of them were outside looking last night and reaching out. So for Prior Lake and for the broader southern metro Muslim population, this is a significant blow to us. But we will recover, and in this moment we're asking for Minnesotans to do what they can, as you heard from Tawheed, spiritual support, just the kindness, and also anything else that people can support financially as well. I think we all help in this moment to help each other, and but we'll wait until all the facts are gathered to learn more about exactly what happened.
Can you speak, Jaylani, to the timing of this? I mean, it is beyond coincidence, clearly, or one may rationally assume the connection to the president's comments? I mean, it's going to lead a lot of people to go there.
Right.
How are you exercising the restraint to not go there, or you just don't?
Well, I think we're doing everything we can to ensure that our community is safe. So we did remind our leaders today, even though what the details of this particular incident are not known yet to us, but to increase security. That was a standing protocol long before this particular fire, and now we're just asking for that. We're asking for law enforcement across the state to ensure that they're working closely with their mosques. So that is a call that's standing. We know that there's a elevated fear of anxiety toward the Muslim community in Minnesota, and that's not new. That's been part of the main story that we've been dealing with for the past week and a half. But at this moment right now, this mosque, we don't believe they have not faced any particular threats or anything in that nature. So we're going to hold off until we really let law enforcement kind of tell us. It may take some time, so we need the patience of the community. But once we get to it, we'll ensure that there's a proper investigation. I can assure the community today that the response and the ongoing investigation is significant, and that gives us hope that we will get to the bottom of it, of what happened here today.
Is ATF on this one too?
Yeah, but I think that could just be natural response to a fire like this. It's a significant fire, so not speculating anything based on who's here today, but we'll wait until we learn all the details.
So the state fire marshals.
Yes, the state. Yes, they. I don't know who the lead agency yet. Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In terms of the kids, are they doing distance learning?
Yes, distance learning for the kids. Yeah, and we'll have to hopefully find a home for them, and there are ways people can get involved.
Security cameras.
Yes, the mosque had security cameras.
How long has this mosque been here?
2017.
Yes,
right? September of 2017. That's when I met this incredible mayor.
And how large, we had the 200 students, how large, did you give a number for the overall mosque community?
It's pretty substantial. How big is the community?
It's about 500.
This mosque, but the mosque also has the schools. There's several other satellite schools that are part of this. So those two other satellites are still ongoing today.
One in Burnsville and one in Prior Lake.
Yeah, one in Burnsville and one in Prior Lake. So we have two other satellite locations that are not affected by this fire today.
You mentioned higher instances of attacks on mosques in Minnesota. I think more than 40, $3 million in damage. Can you speak to where the source of that information, and then just what is going on in Minnesota that we're seeing higher instances of this here?
Well, I think that we've kind of talked about this extensively. So Minnesota now leads the nation in attack. Even this year, we lead the nation in attacks against mosques. We have several arsons, suspect fires, several vandalisms. We had another incident in North Minneapolis that we are right now not ready to make any claims about. That just happened last week. So there's all of this stuff happening. It's hard to tell right now exactly why, but I know Mr. Little, who was charged for 2 arsons, obviously he did it for biased reasons. We had another arson that happened also the same year. So I think, Minnesota is a welcoming place. We love this place. We love the people here. This is not indicative of the population. I think we're dealing with a moment where there's a lot more pressure coming outside of Minnesota that is, I think, engaging Minnesotans in a different way. But I think also our communities is responding better. We have at CARE, we have a community safety director. We're trying to ensure mosques have cameras and security, and we've been very fortunate to have some federal support that helped with that and is helping with that a little bit. So we're in a unique moment that it doesn't fit the story of Minnesota that we have these attacks. But that does not mean that we need more support. And this is probably a moment for folks and organizations that have historically want to help. This is a moment to step in to ensure that we can curb the trend of leading the nation in attacks, especially knowing that most of our mosques serve underprivileged communities and poorer communities. So that's a concern for us. But at this moment right now, we'll hold off on what happened here, and like I said, we're optimistically hopeful that it's just some simple accident, but if it's not, we'll respond according to and do everything we can to ensure the safety of our community and the safety of the broader Prior Lake and other communities as well.
And then the source of the information, I mean, is that?
Yeah,
just
so
your own-
it's our based on our CARES Minnesota's estimates, and so we have one mosque that has over $1 million in damage, and we have another 40 mosques that we estimate another mosque that had about $700,000 in damage. So just those two are the lion's share of the $3 million, and then the others are the damages that have successfully happened in those 40 other separate.
So can you just clarify that a little more? So you said around 40 mosques in Minnesota that
more than
were
40.
attacked or vandalized, arson in some way. Over what period is that?
In the last 4 years.
4 years.
Yes,
Okay.
the last 4 years.
And when you say Minnesota leads the nation in mosque attacks, it's by that
Yes.
sheer number.
Yep. Every year we've led. Last year was probably the best data. We had 16 separate incidents. We had 23 total, but 16 separate incidents. And the next state to us was California with 5.
So 16 in 2024.
2024. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again very much. I look forward to the support of the community, and we'll provide updates as needed. We'll let the law enforcement do their job and ensure that we get to the bottom of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Anybody cold? Just kidding.
All right, so that is a press conference there in Prior Lake, Minnesota, responding to a fire at a local mosque there. All right, so let's take a step aside. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to get to some of our top headlines, top of the hour. First headline right now, and a man accused of a violent stabbing on Charlotte's light rail is in court. Is in custody. He made his first court appearance this morning and was denied bond. Oscar Dolazano is charged with attempted first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, inflicting serious injury, breaking and entering of a motor vehicle, carrying a concealed weapon, and intoxicated and disruptive in connection with the December 5th attack this past Friday. The incident happened less than 4 months after the killing of Irina Zaruska on the Blue Line. And we will continue to track those updates as they come in. Our next headline is Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden held a press conference this morning. We took it live, a good chunk of that live, addressing concerns over Irina's law. Now, Sheriff McFadden and the staff there expressing those concerns on Irina's law that went into effect last week. It's week 2. Some of the big takeaways are resources, funding, and also communication between officials in Mecklenburg County, specifically the Sheriff's Office and lawmakers in Raleigh. And we will continue to follow those updates as they continue to come in. Let's get a check on our forecast. Let's check in with Majestic Storm with a full forecast as we were weather alert this morning. And we continue to be weather alert through tomorrow. Let's take a listen in.
Well, good Monday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm, and wow, what a fun start to the day up there in the mountains, especially for all those skiers and snowboarders. We've been watching that mountain snow and then city rain, and we're preparing you for a blast of bitter cold air that'll be pushing through tonight and into tomorrow. We've already issued tomorrow as a WCNC weather impact alert warning because we're concerned that a lot of the moisture on the ground is actually going to refreeze, and we could see some black ice out there. Limited visibility out there for some of us, still slick and icy conditions up in the mountains. Meanwhile, in Charlotte, it has been an ugly start to our Monday. Overcast, gloomy conditions, rainy skies, and you can see a lot of the rain at this point is really going to be tapering off here fast. But notice, this is for Boone specifically. We'll continue to see snow showers throughout the rest of our afternoon and even early into the evening. And notice those temperatures hovering right around freezing, but those feel like temperatures actually right around those mid-20s. National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories. They're going to stay in place until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. Ashwaubenon, Avery counties, we've been watching you all morning long, about 2 to 4 inches of accumulating snow. And like I mentioned, that snow is still ongoing. So if you live around the area, you know the drill. Take it easy. Not all those roads are going to be treated, but NCDOT has actually done a pretty good job with keeping those main roads nice and cleared for you. Now in Charlotte, no snow for us, cloudy skies and cold temperatures. Sure, a little bit of mist or drizzle still out there, a little bit of rain as well, but once we head into our futurecast, heading into the later half of our afternoon, here's about 2, 3 o'clock, 30s across the board, some low 40s, but notice the moisture, it stays up in the mountains even around 5 o'clock tonight. This is several hours where that snow is going to be piling up. I've been looking at a lot of our cameras today. People in the mountains, I think for the most part, have really actually loved the snow. We've been seeing lots of people out there sledding, their dogs running, people walking around, shoveling. And this is what we're really focusing on next. Tomorrow is our next weather impact alert day because it is going to be freezing cold Tuesday morning. Temperatures again are going to be the biggest focus then. And yes, we will still have those winter impacts up at the higher elevations. At this point, minor to low, of course, for today when we're looking at that snow. But a lot of those roads will still have some moisture on them. So as those temperatures continue to get cold, even right here in Charlotte, we're concerned that we could see a bit of a refreeze by Tuesday morning. So let's time this out for you. We're really focusing on those dangerously cold temperatures, teens and 20s. Black ice will even be possible. So limiting your time outside, avoiding having a lot of that exposed skin if you work outside in the elements. Daytime highs today, 30s and 40s. Lows tonight continue to drop down into the teens and 20s. So make sure tonight you're protecting your pipes. Make sure you have a little bit of a drip going or even open up your cabinets to let in that nice warm air. Tomorrow, temperatures mainly into the 30s and 40s, but this is what it feels like on your skin tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. 18 degrees in Charlotte, 17 up in Jefferson. We'll rise back into the 50s by Wednesday and Thursday, so bundle up as those kids are waiting at the school bus stop tomorrow. Make sure they actually have their big, heavy winter coat. Sunny skies returning by Tuesday and then a little warmer by the middle half of our work week. Stay close to WCNC as we get you ready for Weather Impact Alert on Tuesday morning.
All right, so we want to go to something that's happening live. So happening right now, Governor Andy Beshear out of Kentucky is joining leaders and company officials for a ribbon cutting ceremony to open new headquarters of, I believe I'm saying this right, Be Simple, a company that specializes in improving operational inefficiencies for mid to large size companies. So let's take a listen in to what's being said.
Them up and bring them along. So I said we can't do this alone. We couldn't do this building alone. There are many vendors, there are many people that were involved not only in the development and construction of this facility, but also in our previous life. We have vendors like IDNA, ORI, KFI, Derrick Engineering, Hollenbach Oakley, John Hollenbach, thank you. Jeb, Clayton, Ben, all wonderful people. DKN, I don't know if they're here today, but Laura did an amazing job. Vivid Sight and Sound, Bob over there is fantastic. Warren Technologies, Carpet Specialist, Sonorama. Rob Emery did all of our lighting design. And then a great friend of mine who is a brother from another mother had allowed us the opportunity to move out of a lease into another lease, and I'm forever grateful, Shane Udick. So, Louisville, Kentucky, why? Thank you for believing in what we're building. Louisville is quickly becoming something extraordinary. It's been my home forever, and it will continue to be my home, which is really exciting to have a business here. It's innovators, it's people who take great pride in rolling up their sleeves. It's the companies that grind, that actually want to do something physical in the world. And that's what we're here to support. So in my mind, there's no better home for a company dedicated to transforming how work gets done. We're honored to plant deeper roots right here to create jobs, opportunity, and hopefully impact far beyond our walls. To my co-founders, T, Hank, and GC, Gary Chrysilis. This is where I get emotional. Thank you for walking through every season with me. This is no small feat. The uncertainty, the risk, the breakthrough moments, you've carried the weight, the vision, the late nights, the early mornings. A founder can only have an idea, but it takes co-founders to build a movement. And that's exactly what these guys did, and continue to do. A movement to make work better for millions of people, and I am forever grateful. Love you guys. To our team, which it's fun because we were able to bring everybody from our organization into Louisville for this event, which is fantastic. I want you to take a moment, look around, because this is a moment that we're realizing because of you. Your belief, your work ethic, your commitment, your care for our clients, your discipline, your willingness to pursue excellence. You are the heartbeat of this company. Your fingerprints are on every workflow, every use case, every client, every late night call, every module. This building may have our name on it, but it carries your legacy. To our clients, thank you for trusting us long before we had headquarters. We were, if you could have saw where we started this business, it was literally in a warehouse. So thank you for giving us a chance to serve you. Thank you for letting us inside your organizations. Thank you for trusting us with your people, your process, your operations. We don't take it lightly. We know what an honor it is. We know you bet on us, and we don't take that lightly either. You inspire us. You challenge us. You push us to innovate. You remind us why this mission matters. You are the reason we exist, and we will spend the next decade proving that your trust was one of the best investments you ever made. To our community and the industries we serve the people who move, make, build, and service the world, the backbone of the economy, the companies in distribution, manufacturing, construction, professional services, the people who keep our world running. You deserve technology that honors the complexity of your work, not software that slows you down. You deserve a partner who will fight for your success. You deserve operational freedom, and that's exactly what we're going to deliver. Our community is built on hard work, integrity, and service, and those values will always guide this company. And to my family, to my kids, Henry? Hazel? Thank you for giving me perspective and joy that no job can provide. There is no version of eSimple without one person, and that one person is my wife, Taylor. Honey, your strength, your patience, your belief in me long before anything was proven, that is the foundation beneath all of us. You carried the weight with grace. You made sacrifices beyond all so that I could chase a vision. You believed in our mission when it existed on nothing but a whiteboard in the middle of our kitchen. This moment belongs to you as much to any of us. I love you. Thank you. All right. We've been standing around listening to me jammer for too long. I just want to say this. This is the beginning. This is not a finish line for us. It's nice that everyone can be here, celebrate it. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Trevor from LEDA, for being a part of this day. But this is just the beginning. This facility is not a place for us to come and roost. It's a place for us to connect and deliver value and grow and drive impact. Our goal is enormous. And that's part of our mission. How do we impact hundreds of millions of people's lives in such a way that they can't do themselves professionally? How do we transform hundreds of thousands of businesses into the digital age and utilize artificial intelligence to ensure the success of the company as much as the person? And then that unlocks the impact that we can have on communities here and around our world. And that's why we're excited. We're committed to making Louisville proud, the state of Kentucky proud. We're committed to creating lots of opportunity for us to grow as a community. We're committed to being a beacon for what's possible when a team and a community unite around a mission. So thank you, all of you, for believing in us. Let's build, let's serve, let's lead. Appreciate you. And it's my great privilege, get this back in my pocket, to introduce Governor Andy Beshear.
All right. Thank you all. Wow, to follow that. I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty pumped up. I mean, to hear the motivation, the emotion, and let me tell you, if you can work brother of another mother and 6'7" in the same speech, you can do anything. I want to thank Buddy and all the co-founders, not just for this day, but for this opportunity. We are in Louisville celebrating a company and a project that is moving this city and this Commonwealth forward. And it doesn't get much more cutting edge than with vSimple, which is harnessing the power of AI to help small and mid-sized companies achieve new levels of success. Lieutenant Governor Coleman joined many of you back in August when this was first announced. And while we love our neighbors over the river, I'm supposed to start saying that, we couldn't be happier to welcome Buddy and the entire vSimple team to their new Kentucky home with this headquarters relocation. Best of all, vSimple is creating 194 good-paying jobs for the people that call this region home. Let's thank them for that. This project is a great example of the hard work we've been doing here in the Commonwealth. We built great partnerships with Team Kentucky and so many businesses, and the results speak for themselves. Kentucky's reputation as a national leader has been growing. I mean, for the first time in my lifetime, people are looking up to Kentucky instead of looking down on us. And we've earned that attention through great announcements like this, by getting things done, and by breaking record after record after record. Over the past 6+ years, we've now announced over $43 billion in new private sector investment in Kentucky. That is double what any other administration has been able to announce. Over the same period, we've broken our job creation records, creating over 65,400 new jobs for our families. We have had the 3 best years for tourism and the 2 best years for exports, meaning Kentucky's trade is now truly global. At the same time, we secured bond rating upgrades from all 3 major companies, meaning our house is in order and the toughest critics believe that we have momentum. According to a recent Moody's study, and this ought to make you proud about your state, if each state was its own country, where would their economy be? Sadly, over half have slipped into recession. About another third are flat. Kentucky's economy is still expanding. And while we'll always be known for our signature delicious bourbon and our horse racing industries, CEOs from around the globe are learning that Kentucky is the very best place for advanced manufacturing, for lab science, EVs, and for technology companies like V Simple. This is more for us than just an announcement of one amazing company that's going to put food on a lot of Kentucky tables. It's also something we can now talk about to other companies. That in Kentucky, we're not just the workers, we're the thinkers of the future, and we are in the most cutting-edge sectors anywhere in the world. So we're welcoming more people to our new Kentucky home and to Team Kentucky, because it takes all of us working together to make this happen. And we view every single company that invests in Kentucky as a part of Team Kentucky. In Kentucky, we work hand in hand with businesses like V Simple to understand individual challenges to remove barriers for success. From our skilled workforce to incentives, build-ready sites, and more, we work with you, never against you. There's a lot of chaos and a lot of division in our world right now. But in Kentucky, we've shown we can work together. We can put everything else aside when it comes to good jobs, public safety, infrastructure, education, and healthcare, and we can truly try to lift everyone up while kicking no one while they're down. We've done it by taking politics out of what should be a nonpartisan issue. Listen, I've never seen anything about a good job that's Democrat or Republican. It's just really good for that family. By using common sense to find common ground, we've kept our economy strong, and I plan to continue that progress even with any challenges that may lay ahead. So I want to thank Buddy and the V Simple team. This is a great day, and it's a great day for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and it's a great day for Louisville. And I know this wouldn't be possible without the leadership of a mayor who understands business, who understands that every business that's successful in Kentucky adds more jobs, continues to expand, and that you can be both pro-business, pro-job, pro-worker, all at the same time. We can all work together. I'm proud of the job that he has done as mayor. I think he's more than earned a second term as mayor. So let me introduce your mayor, Craig Greenberg. Thanks, I'm allowed to thank you.
All right, so that is Kentucky state leaders. You heard from Governor Andy Beshear, also officials there at V Simple, at ribbon cutting there for the company. All right, we're going to take a step aside, and we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to take you to day 6 of the Brian Walsh murder trial. Testimony is continuing today. Brian Walsh is charged with first-degree murder in the death of his wife, Anna Walsh, a charge he is fighting during this trial. Let's take a listen into what's happening right now in court.
Criminalists in the criminalistics unit will examine everything inside of a lab in a controlled setting.
And you are familiar with competency testing and proficiency testing, correct?
Yes,
And have you taken both of those types of tests?
I have.
And have you passed those tests?
Yes.
And have you ever testified before giving your opinion concerning evidence collection and forensic analysis of evidence?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
50 to 60 times.
Where did you respond on January 8th of 2023 at approximately 8:52 a.m.?
It was around 8:45 a.m.
8:45 a.m.
It was 516 Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Cohasset.
And how many floors are in that home?
There's 3 floors, 2 livable, an attic, as well as a basement.
And what was your role at that home?
Now, I was assigned to the crime scene response unit, so I was dedicated to looking for and testing for biological material.
So let's talk about that. What is biological material? What kinds of things are you looking for?
In this particular case, I was looking for blood.
Are you looking for anything else, any other kinds of material while you're at that home?
It could be physical evidence as well as various types of trace materials if needed.
What is trace material?
Trace materials, it can be considered paint, glass, hairs, and fibers.
So where did you begin your work that day?
I began work in the kitchen area on the first floor.
And just generally, how do you determine what you're looking for?
I will.
All right, so that is the Brian Walsh murder trial that's happening there in Massachusetts. We want to head over now to Washington, D.C. That is Secretary Marco Rubio with UK Foreign Secretary, also Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to his left. Let's take a listen in.
And we're very grateful to them for that. And this is a very strong partnership. It's a strong alliance. And what we want to do is continue to build on it. We think we have a lot of momentum behind this alliance coming off the visit with the Prime Minister here in October, which we also had a chance to participate in, and in follow-up events to it. And we felt very strongly after that we have real momentum. We wanted to do this here before the end of the year to continue to build on that alliance and to continue to build on that momentum that came from that meeting and to work together on our shared priorities, and we have so many. We truly have no better friend. In addition to that strong alliance, we're also deeply committed to the Quad, the concept of, in conjunction with Japan and India, the building out of this Quad, which is something you'll see. In fact, it was my first meeting as Secretary of State. I had been confirmed, sworn in downstairs, and came right up on that elevator and into this room. And it was in this very room that I did my first event as Secretary of State with the Quad. And we look forward to, we think we've had at least 3 meetings this year, if I recall correctly, and we'll continue to build on that in the year to come. We look to do more of those. So we have a lot of things we've worked together on. At the direction of the President, AUKUS is full steam ahead, as he said, and I know the Department of War, Secretary Hegseth will discuss that further, has conducted a review, which it's a review about how we can expand this relationship, about how to build on it, so that it can be about many things. And I know we've also signed a landmark critical mineral framework agreement. This is something we share in common, not just with Australia, but with many of our allies around the world, the desire to diversify supply chains, and the belief that in order for us to be able to do anything, whether it's defend our countries, defend our allies, or defend each other, but also to build our economies and to prosper as economies, we have to have critical mineral supplies and supply chains that are reliable and that are diverse and not overly invested in one place, where they can be used as leverage against us or our partners of the world. And so this is something that you'll find the U.S. and Australia working very closely on, and it's at the cornerstone of everything we plan to do together in the months and years to come. So I want to welcome you to Washington. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to doing it here at the end of this year. I know it's you have many other obligations and places you're going to be traveling quite extensively in the days to come as well, so we're very grateful that you were willing to come here and join us, and we look forward to reciprocating in the new year. by visiting you in Australia, as I look forward to, and it's one of my, I actually have never been, and I need to go. And it's a very efficient trip because I can say I went to a country and a continent all at once. And so very rarely can you say that. So thank you for joining us here today. We're grateful and honored by your presence.
Thank you very much, Secretary Rubio. Can I thank you and Secretary Hegseth for hosting us in this extraordinary room, as you said, where we've had our first Quad meeting after you were sworn in. We're really, Richard and I are so happy to be here, so honoured to participate in another AUSMIN meeting and to build on the very successful meeting between the President and the Prime Minister, and including the historic critical minerals deal that they delivered. AUSMIN was established, that is this meeting was established under President Ronald Reagan and Prime Minister Bob Hawke. And in 1985, President Reagan spoke of our common defence of freedom from the First and Second World Wars and said, "All this has nurtured the bonds of friendship between our two peoples. Today, the United States and Australia as much as ever rely on each other." That remains true today, and as Secretary Rubio said, Australian soldiers have fought beside American troops in every major battle since World War I, and we continue to rely on each other. Not just our servicemen and women, whom we thank for their service, but all our people. And that's because the work we do together is indispensable to a peaceful, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific. And this is something Secretary Rubio has spoken so eloquently about. The United States is our principal ally and our principal strategic partner, and together we navigate volatility, we invest in each other, we invest in the region's security, and we boost each other's prosperity, whether that's through investment in critical minerals, critical technology, Australian superannuation, or of course AUKUS. Australia's approach to the alliance has always been to work to ensure it delivers concrete benefits for our security and prosperity and for that of the United States. And AUKUS is central to that, a win for Australia, a win for the US and a win for the United Kingdom. And we welcome President Trump's statement, "We are full steam ahead." We are full steam ahead. So we look forward very much to these consultations today. Very happy to be here in Washington. We'd also, Secretary Rubio, be very honoured to welcome you to Australia when you are when you are able to come. So thank you again for hosting us. We look forward to the discussions.
All right. Secretary Rubio, thank you for hosting us. Deputy Prime Minister Marles, we've seen each other often, and we will continue to inform Minister Wong. Thank you for being here. It was mentioned this is the 40th year of AUSMIN, 1985, and it's not lost on any of us the depth of the friendship our two countries have had and our militaries have had for quite some time. And it was Ronald Reagan who, just like the Trump administration, put a practical application to that partnership 40 years ago by ensuring that our leaders are meeting together regularly to stay on track in rowing in the same direction, because we share the same values, the same neighborhood, we're both Pacific nations, and our leadership's coming together on a regular basis is a reflection of that. So on the defense side, we're working on force posture, we're working on defense industrial cooperation, first on force posture initiatives. We're upgrading infrastructure on air bases in Queensland and the Northern Territory that allows for additional U.S. bomber rotations. We're upgrading logistics and infrastructure in Darwin so more U.S. Marines can do rotational deployments and pre-positioning.
All right, so that is Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Also to his right, Secretary Rubio. We want to shift away from that press conference to this. This is President Trump holding a roundtable with some of his cabinet members. Let's take a listen to that.
When gasoline comes down, everything, it's such a big category that when gasoline comes down, sort of everything sort of follows. But we inherited a mess. Affordability, but you can call it affordability or anything you want, but the Democrats caused the affordability problem, and we're the ones that are fixing it. So it's a very simple statement. They caused it, we're fixing it, and they have a tendency to just say this election's based on affordability, and nobody questions them, John. You know, nobody says, oh, well, what do you mean by that? But they just say the word. They never say anything else because they caused the problem, but we're fixing the problem. And we're pleased to be joined today by many of the wonderful members of the farming community, as well as the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. Brooke, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Thank you very much, Scott. Senator John Bozeman. Thank you, John. Good job. John Hoeven. Thank you, John. And Deb Fisher. Thank you very much. As well as Representative Austin Scott, who's been with us right from the beginning. Thank you, Austin. Good job. I'm delighted to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real numbers, you know, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me, because you know, based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops, and it'll help them continue their efforts to lower food prices for American families. And again, we inherited something that we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and we're taking care of it. Farmers are an indispensable national asset, part of the backbone of America. I've always felt it so strongly. They're so important. Unfortunately, under sleepy Joe Biden, he's a sleepy guy, our farmers were crushed by the worst inflation in modern history and crippling restrictions on energy, water, and countless other necessities for farmers. And what they did to the farmer in terms of putting the brakes on was just absolutely unacceptable. In my first term, we had an agricultural trade surplus by a lot. We had a big surplus, meaning we were exporting American agricultural products all over the world, making a net profit, and in many cases a very substantial profit. He came in and ruined it. Biden turned that surplus into a gaping agricultural deficit that continues to this day, but we're knocking it down. It's starting to go very good. In fact, China, as you know, is buying a tremendous amount of soybeans, and the number, I spoke with President Xi recently, very recently, and I think he's going to do even more than he promised to do. So I think the relationship is a very good one. I think he's going to do more than he promised to do, and what he promised to do is a lot. So we're very happy with that. In the last year, Biden bankruptcies rose by 55%, having to do with farms. So farm bankruptcies under Joe Biden went up 55%. That's not good. But now we're once again in a position where a president is able to put farmers first, but unfortunately I'm the only president that does that. On day one, I terminated the Green New Scam. Energy prices are down, gasoline prices are down. We've slashed record numbers of crippling regulations, and we're working on huge trade deals, already securing $60 billion in agricultural purchase commitments. And you know, Biden made none. He didn't make any trade deals having to do with the farmers or any of it. It's crazy. China committed. He was the worst president in the history of our country, by the way, in case anybody has any questions. China committed to over $40 billion of soybean purchases, and that's a commitment. And I asked President Xi if he could even up it, and I think he'll do that. I mean, not a commitment. The $40 billion is a commitment, but the soybean farmers are quite happy. Since my successful meeting in South Korea with President Xi, purchases have been made and soybeans are being exported out of the United States to China as we speak. And I say that our soybeans, I told this to President Xi, our soybeans are more nutritious than competitors. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? In fact, you know who asked me that question? President Xi asked me that question. He said, really, I had never heard of it. And he was a food purchaser for a long time. But that's what I hear. And Japan agreed to $8 billion in purchases of corn, soybeans, ethanol, fertilizer, aviation, biofuel, and rice. You know, Japan never bought rice from anybody else. It's like a very important thing to them. And they agreed to buy rice, okay?
Absolutely.
So I also proudly signed into law the largest tax cuts in history, and the one big beautiful bill, the monumental tax relief bill that is benefiting very, very strongly benefiting the American farmer. And I think also for farmers, we have, as you know, and we got this, the estate tax, or the death tax as they call it, on farmers, on small businesses. You don't have to pay it anymore. A lot of farms, would you love your children, and your children are great, and they want to be farmers, and you leave the farm of your children, and a lot of farms are, you know, sort of cash poor, land rich, cash poor, and the kids would go to the local bank or to any bank, and they'd borrow money to pay the estate tax, and they'd end up losing the farm. They go bankrupt, and a lot of death too. You know, literally. Because they love their farm and they love their business and they love that way of life, they end up committing suicide. A lot of suicides. We have no more estate tax. How about that? Do you have children?
I do.
Well, let them know. Now, if you love your children, then it's good. If you don't love your children, you don't have to leave them anything. It doesn't matter what I just said.
They're still young. I still love them.
I have a feeling you love them.
I still love them.
I have a feeling you love your children. But the estate tax is a very big thing, so you don't have estate tax. You die, you leave your farm or whatever, or small business to your children, you don't have to pay estate tax. It seems to affect the farmer more than anybody else, because you can have a farm that's very valuable, and therefore you have to pay a big tax, but it's not a big value in terms of cash. Maximizing domestic farm production is a big part of how we will make America affordable again, and bring down grocery prices for American families. And again, these are prices that we inherited. When I left, we were doing incredible. In 4 years, what they've done to this country in so many, and not even mentioning the border and the criminals allowed into our country and all of the other. So I just want to say it's a tremendous honor being with you. I'd now like to ask Secretary Rollins to provide some of the details, followed by Secretary Bessent, Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, Senator Bozeman, Representative Scott, and then we go to a couple of the farmers' representatives, but we'll all get involved a little bit. You can speak. Anybody is shy to speak in front of the press, and I don't blame you if that's the case, but farmers, Court Holub and Merrill Kennedy will say a few words also, and then we'll have a little discussion, okay? Madam Secretary.
Thank you to the greatest boss in the world for a long time now. It's just an honor to be here. I'm going to keep my comments very short because I really want to make sure that you and the world gets to hear from our farmers. So a couple of quick points. Number one, this country and our farm economy is facing a crisis that we inherited that most of these farmers have not seen in their lifetime. Profitability is down. It's just one crisis after another. When we came into office, sir, when you did and you were sworn in on January the 20th, as you mentioned, not one new trade deal had been struck in 4 years. The cost of inputs for our farmers, fertilizer up 36%, manual labor up 47%, interest rates up 73%. When you combine the cost of inputs for our farmers married to no new trade deals, and then you're facing an administration whose priorities were DEI, climate change, putting the farmer aside. I mean, it was an absolute war on agriculture and on our rural communities. That all changed on January 20th. So as, sir, we are working, and you have been just so resolute. I mean, these are our people. Rural America is the fabric of our country. This is the way of life that preserves the American dream for the next 250 years as we celebrate the first 250 years. So we began to go to work immediately. What these elected officials sitting across from us did with the One Big Beautiful Bill, with a lot of help and direction from you, was the largest investment in rural America in any of our lifetimes. We will begin to see that effectuated next year in 2026. As we have fought to bring input costs down, you have talked about, and even this weekend did an executive order, signed one, on looking into the reason that so much of these costs have been driven up over and over. Equipment, again, fertilizer, seed, et cetera, et cetera. We have to make sure we understand why that is. And then the continuing of the additional trade deals across the world. And no longer will America be held and beholden to the regime of other countries' tariff infrastructure. Instead, we are moving our products out across the world. Having said that, and we have been listening to the farmers for the last 10 months, 11 months, sir, that the bridge that is needed to get from the last administration and what basically happened under the last president and the last U.S. Department of Agriculture to this new golden age for farmers, where instead of farming for government checks, they can farm to feed their family and sell their products and pass it on to the next generation, that this bridge is absolutely necessary based on where we are right now. So as the president said, we are very pleased to announce that today we are going to be effectuating an $11 billion bridge payment to our farmers. The money will move by February 28th of 2026, but by the end of this month, so just in the next couple of weeks, every farmer that is able to apply for it will know exactly what that number looks like. So as you are going to your lender, as you are working to ensure and understanding what you can plant for next year, you will have that number in hand. And we will continue to talk to our farmers, continue to understand exactly what this looks like and what is necessary. The final thing I'll say is
12 billion.
Well, we're holding $1 billion back. So today we are announcing $11 billion. We are holding $1 billion back just to ensure that we are covering. So today's announcement covers all of our row crops, but some specialty crops and others that we are still working with to best understand where they are in the farm economy and ensure that we're making every forward-moving position that we need to. And then finally, as we move to this new golden age for agriculture and for rural America, as we continue to fight for these farmers and ranchers, their way of life, and those that are represented here represent hundreds of thousands of farmers across this country. Just know that this president, I have never been around anyone who every time we talk, he asks, how are my farmers? Every single time. So we will never stop fighting. We will make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure the next 250 years is just as bright, if not brighter, than the last. So thank you, sir.
Brooke. Thank you. And this money would not be possible without tariffs. The tariffs are taking in, hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're giving some up to the farmers because they were mistreated by other countries for, I don't know, maybe right reasons, maybe wrong reasons. They weren't. They were trying to show us something, and it's really worked out really well. But because of the tariffs, this is possible. The other thing I'd like to add before going to Scott, and I think it's very important, we're going to also give the tractor companies, John Deere and all of the companies that make the equipment, we're going to take off a lot of the environmental restrictions that they have on machinery. It's ridiculous. I know because I buy a lot of that machinery for different things. We have a lot of big clubs with, hundreds, thousands of acres. And I buy a lot of stuff, and you buy it, it's got so much equipment on it for the environmental, it doesn't do anything, except it makes the equipment much more expensive and much more complicated to work. And it's not as good as the old days. And we're going to take a lot of that nonsense off of the equipment, which is going to reduce, and we're going to do it, and we're going to say you're going to reduce the prices. We're not going to do it and they're not going to reduce. They're going to have to reduce their prices because farming equipment has gotten too expensive. And a lot of the reason is because they put these environmental excesses on the equipment, which don't do a damn thing except make it complicated, make it impractical. And you really have to be in many cases, you need about 185 IQ to turn on a lawnmower. Now, so we're going to take that off, that crap off that they put on Biden mostly, and we're going to take that off. So that's going to make that'll bring down the equipment prices
That's
a
right.
lot.
That's right.
And we're going to do that immediately. You're going to work with Lee Zeldin, who's not here. He's doing a fantastic job, and Lee is going to work that out. And that would be most of it. It's crazy. The machines, they're always under repair because they're so complicated that you can't fix them. The old days you used to fix it yourself. Now you can't do that. You have to be a PhD from, let's say, MIT. Okay, so we're going to get that done. Scott, please go ahead.
Good. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the farmers to join us today. And I will tell all of you here that when either in person or when we are on a call with President Xi, the first thing the president asking for is more soybean purchases.
That's right.
We don't talk about geopolitics. We don't talk about trade. It's about soybean purchases.
We don't even say hello. We immediately start.
It's true.
We start with the soybean, please.
Could you do a little? It's always could you do a little more? So, and I think President Xi has heard President Trump. This group represents an American way of life that has fed our nation and its spirit for hundreds of years. You are the caretakers of the most productive agricultural country on earth. You drive hundreds of billions of dollars in exports, support millions of jobs, and keep America's economy running strong. And this administration is committed to keeping it that way. By putting farmers first, President Trump is ushering in a new golden age for agriculture. The President's $11 billion relief package for America's farmers comes at a critical time. These direct payments will give producers the breathing room they need to market this year's harvest and plan for next season. This serves as a liquidity bridge during a period of adjustment, supporting the strongest agricultural sector in the world. Add this to President's success in reining in Biden-era inflation, thanks to the administration's pro-growth policies, input costs like fuel, fertilizer are easing, and credit conditions are improving, interest rates are coming down, helping farmers prepare for the next harvest. President Trump scored a massive victory for America's farmers when he secured an arrangement with President Xi in Busan to reopen China's markets to U.S. agricultural exports, especially soybeans, sorghum, and other commodities. Under this framework, China committed to purchase at least 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans this growing season, followed by a minimum of 25 million tons annually for the next 3 years. And it's not just China. At the President's direction, Treasury, USTR, and the Department of Commerce have secured supplemental purchases of U.S. agricultural goods in major trade agreements across the world to open new markets to America's farmers. The One Big Beautiful Bill also delivered transformative benefits for America's small farmers. It locked in full expensing for farm equipment and 100% expensing for farm structures built during the President's term. I believe Representative Scott and a group in the House, we were originally just going to do factories, and they called us and said, you need to do farm structures too, and the President said, we're all in. And it extended and enhanced much-needed relief from the punishing death tax, giving family farms greater certainty as they plan for the next generation. Mr. President, thank you for putting America first by putting your farmers first. Through pro-growth, pro-farm agenda, you are ushering in a new golden age of American agriculture, and Treasury is proud to help in this.
Thank you, Scott. You know what we'll do? We're going to go a little faster because the last meeting we had was 3 hours. We're the most transparent group, so if we can go faster, it'll be great. And then we'll take some questions from the fake news. Is that okay? Kevin, go real fast, Kevin.
Yeah, I could go really fast, sir. Yeah. Sir, the farm economy, you always ask me to just get a few numbers to put it in perspective. And as I've looked through the incredible performance of these people that work so hard and are such important people for keeping communities alive, the thing that struck me the most, because you and I were here in the White House during COVID, is that during those terrible COVID times, farm production didn't go down. Like these farmers, they went to work every day and they produced so much. But then Joe Biden came in, so we had COVID, and farm production didn't go down. And then Joe Biden came in, and he really wrecked the farm economy. And so during Biden's term, 150,000 farms closed, sir. 150,000 farms closed after we went through COVID and we didn't have a problem. Now, why did we do it? Why were we able to do that? I'm going fast. The first is that, do you know that expenses for farms fell 5% while we were here because of all the things that we did, expensing and everything else? But under Joe Biden, they went up 13% because of all, the regulations, energy, everything else. But the thing that really jumped out at me the most is because you had high growth and low inflation. Interest expense for the farm economy fell $120 million per year while you were there in the White House. But under Joe Biden, it increased by $8 billion per year. And so you wonder why it is that we need this $11 billion, maybe $12 billion to build a bridge loan to America's farmers. It's because we know how to fix it, but there really was a hole that was dug in the previous administration. Thank you. Hope it's fast enough.
Good. That was quick. That's good. Appreciate it. Senator, please.
Yes, sir. No, thank you so much. Thank you for convening us this great announcement and all your hard work for farmers. I think I was reading the clips, I think yesterday you talked about, Mr. Secretary, about farmers needing certainty, and which is so true. This bridge note is one of those things that provides certainty. I also, as I was reading that, thought to myself, the one thing that farmers can be certain of is the fact that you've got their back, and you proved that through the years in the last administration and now this. I was giving a presentation to the Senate a while back, and I was talking about us having the cheapest, safest food supply of any place in the world. It's not just about the farmers in rural America. And so Marco Rubio was sitting by me prior to coming over here and becoming the great Secretary of State. But he punched me and said, "John, always remind him," he was head of the Committee on Intelligence, and he punched me, he said, "Always remind them, food security is national security." So this is important for so many different reasons, and again, I appreciate you for recognizing that, not only now, but when you were campaigning in your first election, how you treated the farmers in your first administration, and now. So we look forward to helping you if we need some additional help, looking to Congress, or whatever, we'll be there for you. So
We're taking in so much money with the tariffs now that it's such a pleasure. Without it, we wouldn't be able to help you. We're making our country, we're the richest country in the world now. And, we have a big decision. Hopefully we're going to get the right decision. It's such a big thing in the Supreme Court right now. We have a lot of bad people opposed to us, people that hate our country. Other countries are involved, some real sleazebags that I know, political sleazebags. And they're trying to take that away from us. And we have other methods, but they're not as powerful. They're not as quick. Some of the wars that I solved wouldn't have been solved using those methods. So it's a very important thing, the tariff. The decision of the Supreme Court's a very important thing. And Scott, we can do it other ways, but it's slow and it's cumbersome, and it doesn't have the power. It doesn't have the national security power that what we have. So I hope we're going to be successful. That's all I can tell you. Austin, please. Thank you, John.
Well, first of all, President, thank you for the selection of Brooke Rollins as Secretary of Agriculture. That was a big first step.
You want to keep her?
Absolutely.
Can I
absolutely
butt in and second that? She's not only her, but her staff does a tremendous job.
I agree.
And
remember eggs? Remember we came in and
absolutely
the people in the media. I'm going to be nice. People in the media were 3 days into office, Susie, right? They're saying egg prices are up like 90% more than that. And I said, I just got here. I didn't know about it. Anyway, she got those prices down to below what they were before. She's doing a great job. Now beef is starting to come down, and some other things are starting to come down. Again, we inherited these problems, but we're getting them down. Go ahead, please.
She's a fact-based decision maker, and the egg issue is where I learned about her. She said, we're not going to use a vaccine that doesn't work. We're going to develop a vaccine that does. And that is 100% what it takes. And so we have to make decisions based on facts. And President Trump, the trade issues, I want to thank you for exposing what other countries are doing to us.
Yep.
I want to mention one specifically for the benefit of Kevin and Scott. I hope they're paying attention to it, but the European Union deforestation regulation, where they are imposing on our landowners rules that were established for Brazil, and now they're telling the American farmer what they can and can't do on their own land through this European Union deforestation regulation.
What does it tell? Explain that.
They are telling the American farmer that if their timber is cut and they are going to use that land for pasture land or for production agriculture, that they will not take the timber or the byproducts from the sale of that timber. And I have talked with James a little earlier about we need to make it clear to Europe, Mr. President,
If you could give me a 2-paragraph statement on that, I will give that to them, and they will do what they have to do.
Yes, sir.
We're always helping them, and they do this kind of stuff, and they pass little regulations that cost billions of dollars. It takes them 2 minutes to do it. They do it. Very tough, no good. You give me a couple of paragraphs, that's all. We don't have to do a lengthy study, and I'll get that changed fast, okay?
Thank you very much, President. We love you.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, every day it's something else.
A country that can't feed itself doesn't know what freedom is. And so thank you for making sure that our farmers have the tools that they need so that we as a country can feed ourselves.
Well, just what you said to me about, the European Union. Now, that guy's the European Union, right? We have to be able to act quickly with tariffs. We can't just, go to a committee, go to a study that takes 7 months and talk. We got to be able to act quickly. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
John?
So, thank you. I think that's the message from Farm Country is thank you very much. In the Working Family Tax Relief Act, or as my young staffers call it, OB3, there is a tremendous amount for farmers and ranchers. You mentioned the credit as far as estate tax, which is so important. You analyzed it just right. But also in there, we enhanced ARC and PLC, which is a countercyclical safety net, thanks to the strong leadership of Senator Bozeman and our colleagues in the House. But we also included the Farmer Act, which was my bill to make crop insurance more affordable. These tools will kick in next year, Mr. President, in a big, big way for our farmers. Big time. And people aren't even really looking at it yet. But it's going to be a very big deal. So today is all about bridging to get there. And I want to thank Secretary Bassett and Jameson Greer. They're tremendous. And they're negotiating hard out there for farmers and ranchers. And I know it's because you're setting the tone. But this is that bridge. And so we need to come back to Secretary Rollins. Thank you. Your leadership on this was vital. And Mr. President, you're right, they love you in Farm Country out there. All you have to do is drive out and see the flags and
signs all over the fields.
On the hay bales, right?
It's a great honor. They're great people, the best people.
This is really important. Really important for our farmers and ranchers. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're doing a great job too, John. Thank you. And whatever we need, we get through the Senate, we get through the House, we'll get it done. I think we'll start maybe with Court Hollow, and you come from a place that I'm very happy with.
I hail from the great state of Iowa. I'm surrounded here by some of the greatest farmers in the area and from across the country. Anything from rice farmers, we've got all sorts of cotton farmers, everything. Everything is here represented so well. And first off, from me, I want to say thank you for this bridge payment. It's Christmas early for farmers. And just to kind of have an icebreaker here for the story, I've got a 2-year-old little boy at home. 2-year-old little boy and a 4-month-old little girl. And the other day I was reading my little boy a story at night, putting him to bed, and he said, "Daddy, I don't want Santa Claus to come to our house for Christmas. I want President Trump." And I think, Mr. Trump, I think you brought Christmas to farmers. With this bridge payment, we'll be able to farm another year, help us get by. It's such an honor to be here with you. I lost my grandfather and our hired hand in 2002 in a farming accident. And he instilled in me at an early age to love the land, to take pride in what we do.
Was that a machine accident?
It was a machine accident. And it gets in your blood to farm. It's in our blood. Despite what happened, I want my 2-year-old to farm. I want my 4-month-old daughter to have an opportunity. And what you're doing here in DC is working. You have a backbone to stand up to other countries for trade. You're getting things done. Tax provisions. I'll be able to potentially pass on a farm to my children because of you. Ethanol. You're working for ethanol. Trying to get E15 year-round. We're dealing with California, Prop 12. Let's continue to work on that. I think we can have a lot of domestic product used here in the country, and we can keep America first, and you're good at that. That is who you are, and if we keep that E15, you could have the biggest...
E15 is a big deal?
The E15 is a great deal, year-round.
Okay.
You could have the biggest stamp. I did that, Trump did that, and we would thank you. Farmers would love you more than anything if we could continue that. Continue to use domestic product, use the byproducts, and even be able to export to other countries. And so what you've done here, and just having us here in the White House with you, sitting beside the Secretary and all these other great individuals here, what a true honor. And I will take pride in this meeting, and I will take this home for many generations to come. And because of what you're doing, hopefully them generations can stay on the whole Bland farm.
Well, we're going to bring you into the Oval Office when we're finished, okay? The farmers, nobody else, just the farmers. And we'll take some pictures. Our representatives also, okay? We have to look at them, because they're doing a great job, John and Austin. We appreciate it. You're doing a great job. Meryl, go ahead, please. Tell us about rice.
Rice. Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me here. And my friend, the secretary, you have an incredible lady right here. She really is. Along with being a mother of 3 and a wife, I run my family's agribusiness, Kennedy Rice Mill, in a little town called Merage, Louisiana, about 1,000 people in the northern part of the state. We employ around 150 people taking rice from the field to a finished product, supplying some of the largest food companies that many of you would know here domestically, but also abroad. And my sisters and I, because there is 4 of us, right? I'm the youngest of 4 daughters, started our own rice brand a few years ago to just tell the story of American agriculture that hadn't really been told before. But I wish I was here under better terms. I'll tell you, I think the rice industry thanks you sincerely for what you have done for the California rice market into Japan. It has been monumental for our industry. But us in the South are really struggling. I mean, this is not just a crisis. I would say it's almost a market dynamics that really are true anti-competitive nature, right? So it follows what you sent out this weekend, and we do believe that countries are dumping rice into this country today. We've never seen imports this great.
Which countries?
India, Thailand, even China into Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico used to be one of the largest markets for U.S. rice. We haven't shipped rice into Puerto Rico in years. So this has been happening for years. This didn't start during your administration, but unfortunately, we're seeing it in a much bigger way now. The tariffs are working, but we need to double down because
you want more. I mean,
they're cheating, right? They're they're just subsidizing and then
India. Tell me about India. Why is India allowed to do that? They have to pay tariffs. Do they have an exemption on rice?
No, sir. We're still working on their trade deal. So
yeah, but they should be dumping. I mean, I heard that from others. You can't do that.
There's a WTO case against India
now.
Give
me the countries, if you could. Go ahead. India. Who else?
So India.
Mark it down. Would you skip?
Yes, sir.
India, Thailand, China into Puerto Rico, not into the continental U.S., but into Puerto Rico. Those are the main culprits.
So Puerto Rico used to do a lot of business, and now you
100%. Puerto Rico was U.S. based.
All right.
And
so
now
easy to set up. Okay.
But there's others too, and I can get you a full list as
Get me
well.
a full list. Yeah.
Of course I can.
All right.
So,
Go ahead.
so truly, this is a national security issue. I think you put it just perfectly. And so I want for all of us in the room to know that rice is more than just a commodity. It's a currency in many of these
And
countries.
you love rice, right?
I
You
love
love
rice. Yes, I'm going to get you to love rice too. You know, the next time you're not going to have a button for a Coke, you're going to have a button for a rice. You know?
Get a little bit of rice.
But
The farmers love what they do.
yeah,
That's true.
Well, our farmers can feed this nation and many nations abroad, but we need fair trade, not free trade. And so we appreciate what you've done today. We appreciate what you did in the big, beautiful bill. I mean, my word, you really changed reference prices. And, you know, we're hopeful that we can even move that further. I know that rice prices right now are the lowest they've been in over 40 years. So we're going to struggle. We're going to max out on our payments probably. So that's something that I know those in Congress can potentially help us with to change. But again, we appreciate everything you're doing.
That's solved so quickly with tariffs to these countries that are illegally shipping. It's solved, your problem is solved in one day. That's why we have to win the Supreme Court case. In one day, that problem's solved. It's so unfair. They go out of business. They put everyone out of business. That's what they did to our car industry. We lost more than 50% of our car industry because of that. We lost our chip industry. Went to Taiwan because of that. If you had a president that said, no, you can't do that, it's 100% or 200% tariff on chips if you make them outside of the United States, we would have never lost our chip industry. But we're going to have 40 or 50% of it back very shortly because they're all coming in now from Taiwan. They're building chip companies. But it's the same thing with rice. Thank you, darling,
Yeah.
very much.
Thank
Really
you.
nice. Well, it'll be good. And we'll
Thank you.
get it solved very quickly. We just need the countries. We just give us the names of the countries.
Yeah.
Tariffs,
They
again,
own the
it solves
largest
the problem in 2 minutes.
Yeah, they've bought the largest brands at retail too, right? So they have an incentive to subsidize their products so that they can keep it on the
Yeah,
shelf.
who did that?
The Indians own the two largest brands.
Then we'll take care of it. It's
Thank
it's so easy. So, do you have any questions?
Yes, President Trump. How are
How
you?
about keeping it on farming?
Your team answered all of my questions on
Boats.
farming, but I do.
Do you have a farm
Mr.
question?
President, in the interest of affordability with this aid package, I assume that that's something you want consumers to see before midterms next year. How quickly will that affect prices at the grocery store?
Well, I think the prices are going to be going down already. I mean, the prices are way down. We brought prices way down from what it was. We inherited high prices. We inherited the biggest inflation in the history of our country. That means prices going up. And we brought it down very substantially. Now inflation is essentially gone. We have it normalized, and it'll go down even a little bit further. You don't want it to be deflation either. You have to be careful. But we brought it way down. We had inflation that was the highest in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I say the history. 48 years is pretty bad too, right? So we're solving those problems.
President Trump,
We're
would
bringing
you-
them way down, yeah.
Would you consider MAHA incentives for farmers that go by MAHA guidelines?
Well, a lot of the farmers like those MAHA guidelines, yeah. So, I mean, they do. We like MAHA. How do you feel about
Yeah,
that?
let me answer that. So this is another reason, I didn't mention it, but this is another reason I think that what we're moving into is a golden age for agriculture. As Secretary Kennedy and I, and across our cabinet with the president's leadership, focusing on making America healthy again, the undergirding foundational effort in that is our agriculture industry. It is our farmers and our ranchers. So as the new dietary guidelines come out in early January, where USDA alone spends $400 million a day on nutrition programs, that's a whole other SNAP, fraud, etc. But when you think about what a market mover that is, as we begin to move the market toward more locally produced, American-made, healthier products, closer to the schools, the hospitals, etc., you again begin to open up so much of the market for the great products produced by these farmers instead of ultra-processed foods out of a box. So there's a lot that's going to be coming on that as well. I'm really excited.
President, I have a question. It's not related to farming, but if you'll entertain. I'm Kara from Lindell TV, Kara Kashnova, and I'm not fake news, just so you know. And everybody's talking about the pipe bomber over the weekend, the suspect that was taken into custody. I reported on Biden's kangaroo court for 4 years, and this is an important question to me. Everyone knows that J6 was the Fed's direction to set you and your supporters up. So my question is, what's your gut instinct about the new pipe bomber suspect taken into custody? Does your instinct tell you that he acted alone? And also, Mr. President, how do you feel about the lead prosecutor on the pipe bomber case? Jocelyn Ballantine is the same prosecutor that allegedly asked the J6er to lie to frame you for J6 when you did nothing wrong. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that question. It's sort of a statement, and I appreciate it very much. Jocelyn is being looked at. They all have to be looked at. What they're doing is so bad. This was a whole Democrat hoax. The whole thing was a Democrat hoax, and it's all being looked at. I appreciate
Is
that.
this the final aid package, Mr. President, or is more expected? Is this the final aid package, farm aid
It
package?
depends on where we go. China's buying a lot. Other countries are buying a lot. And, you know, the interesting thing about the farm, they don't want aid. They want to just have a level playing field.
No, please.
I've seen that more with farmers than anybody else, any other industry, right, Deb?
Right.
We've seen it more with farmers where I've had meetings like this, and primarily in the first term, and we did a great job. We turned it around. This is going to be the golden age. But the farmers don't want aid. They want to have a level playing field, because if they have a level playing field, they'll do better than anybody else. They're better than anybody else. Our product is incredible. Our machinery is incredible, right? I mean, we do have the best machines. It's a very big statement I made, though. The environmental excess that we have put onto our tractors and all of our machinery. Do you all agree with that, by the way? You don't
Yeah, it's got to go.
It doesn't do anything except make the machines break all the time.
Yeah.
And I must say, I like to buy old machinery. I said, buy old.
Yes.
Because it's better. The new stuff is terrible. It never works. Never works.
Mr. President, you said that you would have no,
Yeah, listen to
Mr.
this.
President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth
I
now
didn't say
says,
that. You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
you said that you would have no problem releasing the full bit. Okay, well, Secretary Hegseth,
Whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
he now says it's under review. Are you ordering the secretary to release that full video?
Whatever he
Let's see out
decides
there.
is okay with me. So every boat we knock out of the water, every boat, we save 25,000 American lives. That was a boat loaded up with drugs. I saw the video. They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float. And we didn't want to see that because that boat was loaded up with drugs just like everything else. But every boat we shoot down, and I don't know if you know, we're 92 or 94% down in drugs coming in by the sea. And we're trying to find who are the 6%. Because I don't know, people aren't liking to drive boats right now loaded up with drugs. But every single, think of that, every single boat we shoot out, on average, we save 25,000 American lives. Do you feel okay about that, Court?
Keep us safe.
Okay, I know my man. What about you? Are you okay with that?
I'm totally fine with that. Are you committed to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was
You're
up
the
to
most
Secretary Hegseth.
obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter. And it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Mr. President, touch on the midterms, and I just have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again. Do you
And
have any
Democrats
concerns about
also.
the
And
number?
Democrats
Right.
also.
Do you have
Well,
any?
why don't you mention them? How many Democrats are going to retire?
Do you,
How many Democrats?
Well, that's what I was going to
No,
ask
no,
you.
but
Do you
why don't you
have-
tell me the number of Democrats, too? You tell me
Are you
about...
concerned about the narrow margins? And
No, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to do well.
Is among them, and
We will have the
Nassau
greatest
County
economy.
Bruce Blakeman, who you know as well, is considering running for
We're going to
governor.
have the greatest economy in history. How many Democrats are retiring? How come you only know the Republicans but not the
Because I
Democrats?
came prepared to ask you a question about.
No, you're unprepared because you should know the Democrats. You're totally unprepared. Go ahead.
Well, can I ask a quick follow-up
Who you with?
about?
Who you with?
I'm with New York Newsday, and I also have a quick follow-up. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is among those who is running for New
She's
York
great.
governor.
She's great.
Bruce Blakeman, who you also know.
He's
is now
also
head-
great.
Are you planning on making any
Well, I'll
endorsements?
think
or
about it, but
anything
he's
towards
great
this?
and she's great. They're both great people. We have a lot of great people in the Republican Party. Go ahead.
Can I get back to farming?
Yeah.
So you talked about the profitability issue, the machinery playing a role in that.
Right.
And fertilizer plays another role in that. A
Right.
lot of that, the way I understand it, it comes in from Canada, different countries like that. What are we doing to bolster domestic fertilizer production to help make that more affordable, and then I think that will transition
Well, one
down
of the
pipe.
things, a lot of it does come in from Canada.
It does.
And so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to, because that's the way you want to bolster here. And we can do it here. We can all do that here. But I would say what you do, you put very severe tariffs on from coming into other countries. You'll be making your own fertilizer very soon.
In fact, Secretary Burgum, this cabinet is so remarkable. Instead of just seeing each other every month, we're literally talking every day, multiples of times a day. But our Secretary of the Interior, I, and Secretary Bessent and others, we have a whole plan in place, including the reshoring of fertilizer and the opportunity to do it in America. Having said that, we've also, per the President's guidance, issued a directive. These fertilizer companies, the seed companies, the equipment companies, all of the above, as our farmers have struggled year over year, the meatpacking companies continue to make, a lot of money, hand over fist, a lot of foreign-owned companies. So that's why the President has been very unequivocal in saying we got to figure out why all these input costs are skyrocketing and all of our farmers are struggling, which we're going to do.
So
That is a
when they
great
take-
question. and
When
very
they take
important.
like fertilizer out of the country, all of a sudden we don't do it anymore. Then they start charging and sending in, very high prices from other countries, whether it's Canada or somebody else. We're not going to let that happen. Okay?
Mr. President, on the
$12
quality of foreign produce, you spoke about soybeans and how the quality here in the United States obviously is a lot better.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, is the default of this administration, because that's an issue I understand with root vegetables, citrus as well. Is the default of this administration that even if it's a little bit more expensive homegrown, you will choose homegrown over cheaper produce abroad?
I like homegrown. Some things we can't grow because we don't have the heat. There are some things, little delicacies, or maybe not such delicacies, but they grow better in warmer climates, very warm climates actually. But for the most part, I like homegrown.
And Mr. President, thank you. One on this announcement and then one on foreign policy, if I may. Are you open to tapping into tariff revenue again should farmers find they need additional relief to get to that level?
Yeah, I am. If we're going to make the farmers so strong, and I'm not even talking about financially, because they just want to be able to produce what they can produce, and we're going to make them so strong that it will be indeed a golden age for farmers.
And then on Russia and
We had it going in the first administration, and then Biden came in and ruined everything. They had no idea what they would. They did. I mean, I think they hated the farmer. I love the farmer. That's why I got 94% of the vote from the farmers. But they hated the farmers. I love the farmers. Go ahead.
And then on Russia and Ukraine, obviously your administration has been having talks with each side. Given that there is no peace deal at this point, will your administration stay engaged in those talks to effort a peace deal?
We just want to see people stop from being killed. We don't, as you know, Joe Biden gave them $350 billion. And I gave them nothing. I did give them javelins at the beginning and knocked out a hell of a lot of attacks. But and Obama gave sheets. Remember, Obama gave sheets and I gave javelins. But no, we have a great situation going over there, except for one problem. You got a lot of people dying, and I want to see that stop. So you have mostly Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. Last month, 27,000 soldiers died, mostly soldiers. A few people from the dropping of a missile in the middle of Kiev or wherever, which is a terrible thing. But mostly soldiers. 27,000 soldiers died last month. That's what I want to see stop. We, as you know, we now sell equipment to NATO at full price. And NATO takes that equipment and probably gives it to Ukraine. I guess they could give it to others too, but for the most part, give it to Ukraine. And they're working with Ukraine in terms of distribution of equipment, missiles, etc. But we aren't spending money. What we are doing is spending time on a humane basis. We want to see if we can stop the killing of 27. It would have never happened. This war would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. If I were president, this war would have never happened.
President
What-
Trump,
What- your question.
you talked a lot about
the
soybean purchases.
Say it.
You talked a lot, obviously, about China's soybean purchases. Some lawmakers from North and South Carolina have raised concern that U.S. tobacco farmers were told that China would not purchase flu-cured tobacco this year. Has that come up in your conversations
No, I
at all?
haven't heard that, but we're doing well. The tobacco people, because of the deals I made, they're doing very well. But that could be, if it's the case, I can get it solved very quickly.
Do you know,
President Trump,
let us know how you settled on this 12 billion or 11 billion plus one more billion dollar figure.
We looked at how they were hurt, to what extent they were hurt. We did a very, steady progression of charts, and we figured out a very exact number, and it was about $12 billion. Okay?
President Trump, if you had one Christmas wish for America besides making American farmers great again, what would it be?
I would say very simply, I go by a statement when people ask that question. Remember that question was asked to Ted Kennedy, and they said, well, what are you going to do to make America great? And he couldn't answer the question. I have a very simple, we're going to make America greater than ever before, and we're going to do it through a series of tariffs, intelligent taxes, and incentives. And our country has never been stronger. We've never had anything like coming in. We have $18 trillion coming into our country right now. There's never been anything like it. And if you ask me that, I'll say I just want to keep doing what I'm doing because there's never been anything like that happen.
Do you support
the biggest number ever in history was $2 trillion, and we're at $18 trillion. This is money pouring into our country on building car plants, on building AI plants. We just want to keep doing exactly what we're doing because nothing like this has ever happened in the history of the world, not just our country. There's never been, Scott, would you say that's right? There's never been anything like the investments coming into America.
So this is a record year. Record year.
Do you support the Paramount deal, sir?
On healthcare, Mr. President, 22 million Americans are expected to see their healthcare insurance premiums start to rise by the beginning of next year.
You're talking about because Obamacare is so bad?
Yes, well, sir, because the Obamacare subsidies are expiring. Are you going to do
because
anything?
Obamacare is so bad.
What is the Republican plan? Are you going to let that happen on your watch?
What I'm going to do is, if the Democrats go along with it, which they don't want to because they want to make the insurance companies very rich, okay? I want the money to be paid to the people to go out and buy their own health care instead of paying to the insurance companies. Their stock has gone up 1,700% in a short period of time. Did you know that? 1,700. You wish your corn went up, right? But the insurance companies' stock has gone up by 1,700%, 1,800%. They're taking in trillions of dollars. I don't want to pay the insurance companies anything, and I know a lot of them, but they're owned by the Democrats, and the Democrats have... Obamacare is a setup to make insurance companies rich, and I want to pay the people, and I want the people to go out and buy their own health care. And that's what we want to do, and that's what the Republicans want to do, because Obamacare is a disaster. And I said it 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It was always a disaster. It's bad health care that's too expensive for people. And now your premiums, and you said it better than I said it. You said the Obamacare premiums are going to go up. They're going way up. And what I want to do is have the money, and you know who's getting that money? A lot of it is the insurance companies. I want the people to get the money and go out and buy their own health care. And everybody wants that, right? Okay.
When Mr. President put that bill on the floor, sir.
Do you have any reaction on the fine that was imposed to X by the European
For what?
Union? To X, to the platform X, the fine that the
That was
European
pretty
Union...
amazing. You're talking about, is that European Union or is it, who did that? European Union or UK?
The European Commission.
Whoa, that's a nasty one.
Do
I
you
don't
consider it an
know.
attack?
Elon has not called me to ask for help on that one. But no, that's a tough thing. I don't think it's right. No, I don't think it's right. I don't see, how they can do that. No, I'll speak about it later. I'm going to get a full report on it. Look, Europe has to be very careful. They're doing a lot of things. We want to keep Europe. Europe is going in some bad directions. It's very bad for the people. We don't want Europe to change so much. They're going in some very bad directions. That was a big thing.
You've directed a review of the childhood vaccine schedule, possibly to match what is on par with peer nations in Europe. Would you support ending federal mandates and just making those recommendations for schools?
You're going to have to say it again.
As far as the vaccine
Louder.
As far as the vaccine schedule for children, would you support ending the federal mandates and making it optional for schools?
Well, we're looking at a lot of things having to do with vaccines and with the different. I think we take like 88 different shots, all wrapped up in one big glass of stuff like that. And we're going to be reducing it very substantially.
Do you support the Paramount
It'll be safe,
bid, Mr. President?
but we're going to be reducing it very
Do you
substantially.
support the Paramount bid for Warner Brothers that came
I don't
this
know enough
morning?
about it.
You spoke about Netflix last night, saying you have concerns about them.
I know the companies very well. I know what they're doing, but I have to see what percentage of market they have. We have to see the Netflix percentage of market, Paramount, the percentage of market. I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine. You know, I want to do what's right. It's so very important to do what's
The
right.
Paramount deal was supported by Jared Kushner, Mr. President. Would that impact your decision?
If Paramount is, no, I don't know. I've never spoken to him about it. He's really trying to work on Gaza. I think Gaza's his primary thing is Gaza.
If you're making house visits on Christmas Eve, as he suggested, does the Beast need to be fitted with sleigh rails?
You want to answer that question?
Absolutely. We should put sleigh rails on the Beast, yes.
Madam Secretary, do you support that?
Go ahead.
That Republican plan that you just talked about when it comes to health care, when do you expect Republicans to put that
We're
on?
looking at it very strongly, and we're also going to the Democrats and asking them to do it. The Democrats want to make the insurance companies rich. They're all paid off by the insurance companies. A tremendous amount of the insurance company funding goes to Democrats. Why don't you ask that question of the Democrats? Because I would love to do it. I'd love all of the money to go to the people. They go to the people. You know, I put that out 2 weeks ago. It became #1 viral. People love it. I want the money to go for healthcare, to go to the people and let the people buy their own healthcare through an account. They can buy their own healthcare. And everybody loves it, except for the Democrats. And you know why they don't? Because they're paid off by the insurance companies. Okay, what else?
Yeah, Alina Habba says she's stepping down as U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey after the courts disqualified her. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, she's not disqualified. You've got a blue slip thing that's horrible. It's a horrible thing. It makes it impossible to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney, and it's a shame. And the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves that they allow this to go on, because I can't appoint a U.S. attorney that's not a Democrat, because they put a block on it. So if you appoint in Virginia or in New Jersey or in California a U.S. attorney or a judge, I mean, a judge situation is ridiculous. The only people that you can get by are Democrats, because they will put a hold on it.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break and come back to the president right after this. Thanks for coming back, everyone. I'm Colin Mayfield. We're going to go back to the president's cabinet meeting with a number of notable figures. Seems like it just wrapped up, actually. The president is about to leave. So we will continue to shift and get you to our weather impact team. Obviously, today we know we dealt with some rain, and tonight some slick roads. So please be aware as the temperature drops. Let's get over to our weather impact team right now.
Well, good Monday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm, and wow, what a fun start to the day up there in the mountains, especially for all those skiers and snowboarders. We've been watching that mountain snow and then city rain, and we're preparing you for a blast of bitter cold air that'll be pushing through tonight and into tomorrow. We've already issued tomorrow as a WCNC weather impact alert warning because we're concerned that a lot of the moisture on the ground is actually going to refreeze, and we could see some black ice out there. Limited visibility out there for some of us, still slick and icy conditions up in the mountains. Meanwhile, in Charlotte, it has been an ugly start to our Monday. Overcast, gloomy conditions, rainy skies, and you can see a lot of the rain at this point is really going to be tapering off here fast. But notice, this is for Boone specifically. We'll continue to see snow showers throughout the rest of our afternoon and even early into the evening. And notice those temperatures hovering right around freezing, but those feel like temperatures actually right around those mid-20s. National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories. They're going to stay in place until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. Ashwaubenon, Avery counties, we've been watching you all morning long, about 2 to 4 inches of accumulating snow. And like I mentioned, that snow is still ongoing. So if you live around the area, you know the drill. Take it easy. Not all those roads are going to be treated, but NCDOT has actually done a pretty good job with keeping those main roads nice and cleared for you. Now in Charlotte, no snow for us, cloudy skies and cold temperatures. Sure, a little bit of mist or drizzle still out there, a little bit of rain as well, but once we head into our futurecast, heading into the later half of our afternoon, here's about 2, 3 o'clock, 30s across the board, some low 40s, but notice the moisture, it stays up in the mountains even around 5 o'clock tonight. This is several hours where that snow is going to be piling up. I've been looking at a lot of our cameras today. People in the mountains, I think for the most part, have really actually loved the snow. We've been seeing lots of people out there sledding, their dogs running, people walking around, shoveling. And this is what we're really focusing on next. Tomorrow is our next weather impact alert day because it is going to be freezing cold Tuesday morning. Temperatures again are going to be the biggest focus then. And yes, we will still have those winter impacts up at the higher elevations. At this point, minor to low, of course, for today when we're looking at that snow. But a lot of those roads will still have some moisture on them. So as those temperatures continue to get cold, even right here in Charlotte, we're concerned that we could see a bit of a refreeze by Tuesday morning. So let's time this out for you. We're really focusing on those dangerously cold temperatures, teens and 20s. Black ice will even be possible. So limiting your time outside, avoiding having a lot of that exposed skin if you work outside in the elements. Daytime highs today, 30s and 40s. Lows tonight continue to drop down into the teens and 20s. So make sure tonight you're protecting your pipes. Make sure you have a little bit of a drip going or even open up your cabinets to let in that nice warm air. Tomorrow, temperatures mainly into the 30s and 40s, but this is what it feels like on your skin. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., 18 degrees in Charlotte, 17 up in Jefferson. We'll rise back into the 50s by Wednesday and Thursday, so bundle up as those kids are waiting at the school bus stop tomorrow. Make sure they actually have their big, heavy winter coat. Sunny skies returning by Tuesday, and then a little warmer by the middle half of our work week. Stay close to WCNC as we get you ready for Weather Impact Alert on Tuesday morning.
All right, folks, we're dealing with an icy Tuesday morning, so just be prepared for that. Of course, our Weather Impact team will have more for you tonight at 4, 5, and 6. We're going to take a 2-minute break. We'll have more for you right here on Live Impact News after this. All right, everyone. We know that Arena's law is in effect. Obviously, has been so for more than a week or so. Today, actually, we did know that just a little bit earlier, the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office spoke about this law, and of course, talking about the recent stabbing that just happened on the Blue Line as well. We're going to go to this. They talk about safety here in the city and the county of Mecklenburg.
Regarding Irena's Law, House Bill 307, and its impacts on the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. Just one in-house rule. We're going to let all our speakers speak first, and then we'll have a time for questions at the end. We'll conclude with a tour of Detention Center Central. For now, we're going to start with Sheriff Gary McFadden.
Well, good morning. We're glad that everyone came out to listen to us talk about this new law, Irena's Law, in House Bill 307. This is a tragedy in our city, but it is one of the tragedies that has been highlighted all over the U.S. But it's hard to have those conversations with the other parents who've lost their children just to the same violence that Irena lost her life. And we believe that the only reason that this caught national attention is because it was caught on video and it was displayed across the United States. And our local politicians at that time saw it was a political agenda, or they could highlight her as a refugee and not an immigrant. And this is why they created Irena's Law. I'm going to be very brief about this, and we can get into discussions later. This law will cause our detention center numbers to rise. We will have more people staying inside a detention center at a longer stay than normally, because it attacks the new bond referendum or the bond referendum, and it attacks also the discretion that the magistrates and the judge has on releasing people. The behind the scenes thing that you did not see is that our magistrates were attacked violently, verbally, when I say violently, on social media, and they lived in fear for many days. And we took additional measures to protect them because of the violent nature of social media and parts of other media, and also just the violence that they received just personally. And so they live in fear now, and I have to say that because for an entire day, we had to talk to the magistrates on how to live safely, how to travel safely, and in the middle of all of that, they were concerned after the shooting of Charlie Kirk, because they said to me, well, what if they shoot me because of this? And so they're going to be more cautious and reluctant to allow people to be released, and we know that the law has now provided other guidelines for certain people not to be released. So it will increase our capacity here at the detention center. Looking at the numbers, our capacity has been the highest since I've been sheriff. I think today we're at 619, and we have seen it as high as 1650 or 1620 in the high mid-1600s. And so that's unexpected. Now, when we're talking about the length of stay, don't get confused, the length of stay and the average stay. Because when you're talking about the average stay, of course, people say, well, the average stay is so-and-so. Well, I can tell you that people who have been housed here inside the Mecklenburg County Detention Center have been waiting to go to trial for a minimum of 4 to 5 years. And we still have those numbers of they've been waiting 4 or 5 years. And so when we're talking about that, those people are going to be remaining here on top of the other issues that we have. So when we're talking about Irena's Law, the main thing that everybody talks about is mental health. Mental health. Mental health. And this young man's mental health at the time that he was arrested. Well, looking at our numbers, we had 618 people diagnosed with the same thing that he was diagnosed with: schizophrenia and a bipolar disorder. But yet he was released like everybody else was released. We have to understand that the release comes after everyone has met all the conditions of their bond. You hear some politicians say Sheriff McFadden is releasing them. Sheriff McFadden is releasing them. He's releasing them. Well, we only release people after we receive an order from a judicial official ordering us to release that person after they have met all the conditions of their bond. So it's not up to the sheriff solely to release people. Of course, we do release them after we receive the notification, but we don't release them on what we believe they should be released on. So we don't make sure we get that clear. And so when we're talking about mental health, you should be proud of your sheriff's office. Most of you all say, well, the sheriff's office does this and that. Well, we started mental health 1 year after I got here. So in 2019, we opened the first behavioral health in North Carolina inside of a detention center. After that year passed, we opened the detention center for women for behavioral health. So we've been dealing with behavioral health way before Irena's laws and way before everybody thought that it was a popular conversation. So in 2018, we had a pod for men. 2020, in the middle of COVID, we opened a female pod for females. And so if you haven't kept up with it, we have a program called the RISE program. In 2022, North Carolina came to me and said, Sheriff, we want you to experiment with the RISE program, restoring individually, safely, and effectively back to where they can proceed to court. Because you're going to hear the term incapable to proceed, ITP, and you may see that, ITP, incapable to proceed. That means a defendant cannot assist his lawyer in his preparation to go to court. So they remain here. Because of that, we created a RISE program where we had a 25-bed unit that takes care, we believe that takes care of that problem, because we are restoring people back to where they can proceed in court. That program has also been successful, so successful that the state of North Carolina came back to the sheriff's office again and said, Sheriff McFadden, can we increase the RISE program? And we did. So the new RISE program that we have now, and I call it RISE 5.0, the sheriff's office here, Mecklenburg County, now services 36 other sheriff's offices in the state. We only have 100 sheriff's offices in the state of North Carolina. So Mecklenburg County will now have the ability to service 36 other sheriff's offices across the state when we talk about mental health capacity. What does that mean? A sheriff's office may say, well, because of 307, and like I said to the city council, because of 307, if I was another sheriff's office, I would say, well, sure, this is not going to cause me a problem because all I'm going to do is send my people to Mecklenburg County because we have a contract with them that I can send my people to Mecklenburg County for services of mental health. So 36 other sheriff's offices. There were 2 other sheriff's offices that also supposed to be with me, Pitt County and Wake County, which I am the western part of North Carolina. Wake is the middle part, and Pitt is the eastern part. And so Pitt County is only going to service anyone that's in the Cherry Hospital community. Us to service other people. Will that put a strain on my staff? Absolutely. Will it put a mental strain on my staff? Absolutely. Why? Because we're now going to be dealing with a much more difficult population when we're talking about mental health. On top of the other population of the people who are arrested for robbery, rape, and murder. All these people are still going to be housed here at the detention center. So when people say, well, is that going to cause a problem for your staff? Of course it is. Why? Because my staff is now going to be subject to having to deal with people with much more mental health problems than we had in the past. Or we're going to be dealing with families who will not understand why their loved ones are not being released. On top of all of that, House Bill 307 did not bring us any resources and they did not bring any funding. And so when these lawmakers in Raleigh make these bills and Senate bills, the only thing that we are asking for them to do to allow us to have a seat at the table and have a voice. And sure, they will use the word, well, we spoke to Mr. Caldwell with the North Carolina Sheriff Association. Well, Mr. Caldwell is an absolutely great individual, and I admire him greatly. But I think talking to the actual sheriffs that will be working with these actual people will be better to say, what will you face, how will you face it, and what do you need? And I think that would have been a better conversation. And as we always say, communication, collaboration, and cooperation is all that we're asking. We cannot back away from this bill. We challenge this bill. We take these challenges head on. My staff have talked. But I know that we are better prepared than most sheriff's offices in the state. Why? Because we have been dealing with this since 2019, mental health. And we are the example to follow. But when you have no funding to help you all, and all of a sudden now we're going to have a recruiting problem. And here's why we have a recruiting problem. Because everybody's recruiting at this time. Every agency in Mecklenburg County, all 6, including CMPD is across the street, we're all recruiting from the same pool. And it's competitive. People may go to Union County or Cabarrus County or Rowan County for different pay and not to deal with as many patients that they have. We are the largest facility in North and South Carolina. And so we have the largest problems because we have the largest capacity. But we will take on this challenge, but simply having us to talk or hear our voice at the table would have been better. But no funding for something that we are mandated to do now is difficult, and it's a difficult pill to swallow when you talk to my staff. But my staff is ready to take on the challenge, and I'm sure that we will be successful. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Sheriff. Next, we're going to have Major A. Dura in Detention Center, and he's going to be talking about population growth and just the state of the detention center.
Good morning. I'm just going to talk about the population a little bit. Right now, it's about an 18% increase from the same time last year. Our numbers, like the sheriff said, was 1619 today, which means that we also have about 97 people on stack of bunks. Some of the operational challenges we have is more residents place pressure on the housing units. We need to provide more medical care, more food, more laundry, and all the other daily operations. Overcrowding also reduces efficiency and raises the risk of incidents, making it harder to maintain order. As far as morale goes, everyone that's working here still has good morale, but when the resident population rises, staff demand rise with it. We are without additional personnel, the burdens falls on those that are already here. So right now, of course, we're doing mandatory overtime, but this will probably end in January. And it causes fatigue and stress, which can erode morale, which is why recognition, support, and clear communication are critical to maintaining good morale. And that's one of the reasons why we're always recruiting people to help get better people in here and to make it a little bit better. Safety and security, overcrowding increases tension among residents, which can also escalate into conflict. So we teach our staff to remain vigilant, but vigilance alone is not enough. We need funding for more training, technology to meet these challenges head on. Community connections, the detention center reflects the community it serves. As diversity grows, so do the needs of those in our custody. Our mission is not only to contain, but also rehabilitate and prepare individuals to re-enter society. In closing, I would just like to say we do have a population growth, and that's inevitable, but our response defines our leadership by advocating for resources, embracing innovation, and supporting one another. We'll ensure the facility remains safe, fair, and resilient. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Major R. Abey. He's going to be discussing safety concerns, as well as just some of the operational delays.
Good afternoon. Major Robert Abey, I oversee arrest processing and operations and arrest processing. What we can expect in arrest processing are pretty significant delays. So HB 307 has added responsibilities, increased the responsibilities of the magistrates, and they already have a workload that's pretty cumbersome as it is, so the delays are going to affect us. Arrest processing is a processing facility. We're not meant to hold a lot of people at one time. So when it backs up in there, it gets dangerous. We're short-staffed as well. Staff is a concern. As Major Dura said, morale is always going to be a concern. But we're dealing with people at a very volatile time. And when you put people that are we're dealing at a volatile time, and a lot of them in a little area, it can get dangerous. It can get dangerous for our staff, it can get dangerous for them. So arrest processing, the overcrowding is going to be a concern for us. And unfortunately, the magistrates, they can't do anything about their workload. We can't do anything about their workload, but they're just going to have to work through it. In addition, arrest processing, the delays in arrest processing can hinder time-sensitive cases such as DWIs, driver-wire impaired cases. Those are very time-sensitive for various reasons. Our goal is to get them in and out of arrest process as quickly as possible, and if there's delays, we have issues with that. We have concerns with that. We don't want to see cases get thrown out in court on somebody that was arrested for a DWI simply because it just took too long to process them. With that being said, the portion of HB 307, we're fortunate when it deals with mental health, has actually been postponed till December 2026. When that goes into place, we're looking at a whole different nightmare when it comes to arresting, officers arresting people coming into the facility. That's going to require them to testify due to the behavior of the person, considering their mental health, and basically the magistrates are going to have to determine whether they need to go for an involuntary commitment or go to the hospital to be checked out for the mental health. We're talking about significant delays in the process when that takes place. Our main goal in arrest processing, honestly, is to get our officers, our deputies back out on the streets, back in their zones, back in their divisions for emergency response, for public safety. And we can't do that if they're in arrest processing waiting to see the magistrate, unfortunately. I do think this is going to be a negative impact on our sheriff's office. I also think there'll be a negative impacts on other agencies that we experience, our other user agencies, especially those ones that are smaller. Because when they only have a few people on their shifts, on their divisions, in their divisions, and they're sitting in arrest processing arrest, they're not on the streets where they really should be. That's all I have.
And finally, we will hear from Tanisha Pakanayeva, Mental Health Director. She's going to be talking about what it is her division does, just preparations for the backlogs, as well as treatment options.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. As Sarah said, Tanisha Pakanayeva, Mental Health Director here at the facility. I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I currently oversee 11 other professionals in the provision of the mental health services here. Some of the major functions of our department include crisis intervention services, so suicide or safety watches. We are responding to facility emergencies. Our team also completes initial assessments for diagnostic and treatment purposes. We are doing involuntary commitment petitions and testimonies before the magistrate, and then we provide a number of other support services. So that could be for PREA-related claims, that's the Prison Rape Elimination Act, follow-up for our pregnant and postpartum residents, follow-up for residents on our behavioral health special needs list. So those are individuals who are considered severe and persistently mentally ill. We conduct what we call special management housing rounds, in addition to a number of other things. As the sheriff said, our company oversees the behavioral health unit, so that is a 90-day mental health program that residents can come into. And then in October of this year, we did begin providing support in our medication-assisted treatment program, or the MAT program, by way of screenings, counseling, peer support, and pre-release planning. So our department does a wide range of things here in the facility. At present, with the numbers as is, approximately 40% of our residents present with a mental health diagnosis. And I would say that that number is low. Not every resident that comes into the facility is capable of saying, hey, I consent to treatment and is willing to engage with us. So there are currently people here in our facility that won't engage, but our team is very much aware that they have mental health needs. So if we do experience a population increase as a result of House Bill 307, our department is definitely going to be impacted. I can foresee larger caseloads for our clinicians and more demands on them. Right now we have 3 full-time facility clinicians, and they do a lot on the day-to-day, so we can just see that going up. We anticipate a potential rise in the types of crises and the number of crises we're responding to in the facility. And then we do anticipate some backlogs and delays. So right now we try to afford our residents timely mental health care within certain deadlines, but an increase in population would mean that it may take a little bit longer for us to get to those things. Of greatest concern for our department is how we will manage individuals who come into the facility and they're not able to engage with our on-site treatment team in a meaningful way. So right now we are relying on the involuntary commitment process to support and service those residents, but right now we have issues with that process. So our community hospitals are often limited with bed space. Our community hospitals do not have the ability to house and treat individuals with violent histories and charges. So that's already a challenge. So I can only imagine with larger numbers here how that challenge is going to grow. Over the last 60 days, our department has done what we can as best as we can to prepare for some changes that may arise as a result of the new bill. That has included just educating our staff about what changes could come about and making sure that they are prepared. We have prepared our staff who work on what we call the program side, so they are in the behavioral health units, making sure that they are trained and prepared to work on our facility side, so responding to crises, helping with initial assessments.